Stugotz here for ZipRecruiter. Hiring used to be hard, multiple job sites, stacks of resumes, a confusing review process. But today, hiring can be easy, and you only have to go to one place to get it done, ZipRecruiter.com/Dan. ZipRecruiter sends your jobs to over 100 of the web's leading job boards, but they don't stop there. With their powerful matching technology, ZipRecruiter scans thousands of resumes to find people with the right experience and invite them to apply to your job. As applications come in, ZipRecruiter analyzes each one and spotlights the top candidates so you never miss a great match. ZipRecruiter is so effective that 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. With results like that, it's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the highest-rated hiring site in America. And right now, my listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/Dan. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Dan. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Dan. D-A-N. They asked me to spell that. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
All right, the misery cruise continues. It's Izzy Gutierrez in for Dan Le Batard again today. I do have a co-host, and I'll get to him in just a second. The way this place operates, I will never understand how Dan does this on a daily basis. I can only assume Allison keeps everything together in this place. I mean everything, because this place is a madhouse, and it feels like it's because, you know, Dan and Stu aren't here and I'm a fill-in, but I don't know. I think this happens all the time. All right, so I get in here, and I want some coffee. Nobody knows how to make coffee. Billy goes to the coffee machine, opens up the top of it, tries to figure out where the water comes from by turning the coffee machine upside down. Therefore, all the water spills all over the microwave. And I take over there and make the coffee myself. When I walk in at 8:30 this morning before we do this local hour, Chris Cody's on the phone for the entirety of the pre-show and into the local hour, trying to get a password changed at ESPN. You would think that there would be a set way to do this, right? You've been... How many years now, Chris, have you been here?
I think close to 3.
Close to 3 years, and like this show's been around forever. And so you would think that that would be something that we could figure out faster than that. We did the local hour, and now we're getting ready to do the national hour. And I go into the shipping container over there, and I hear Roy yelling into the microphone saying, hey, by the way, co-host will be Adnan Virk. Adnan, don't say anything. I'll be right there. And I hear Roy yelling, hello, 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 and all I hear on the other end is Mikey C saying something randomly and Adnan talking about movies. It's as if it was a Le Batard skit in real life where you can't get Adnan to shut up about movies while we're trying to do something important here.
I was actually talking about my toothache.
I didn't ask you anything, Mikey. And so after I hear Roy asking over and over and over again, obviously it's important. We're trying to do a national show in about 90 seconds. You would think that somebody up in Bristol would acknowledge Roy's cries. And then after he's just kept pressing buttons and like, hello, hello, can anybody hear me? You hear Mikey C say real quick, just a second, Roy. He should have acknowledged him at the very moment he heard Roy, but meanwhile, no, he says just a second, and he starts yammering about how he had a bad day and something about a toothache. We'll get there. And then I just hear Adnan continue to talk about movies while Mikey C's trying to talk to him, and then I hear, yeah, Izzy, you're probably going to have to do the first segment on your own. ESPN, baby. ESPN.
The worldwide leader in sports.
Worldwide leader, filling in for Dan and Stu, the greatest, largest, biggest radio show in the history of everything. Adnan, are you there now?
Izzy, I got to tell you about Black Klansman, but I will do so a little bit later on after that wonderful preamble from you.
I mean, they can't get you off the air when you're not supposed to be on, and when you're supposed to be on, we can't get you on. What's the deal?
I've been on vacation and tried to log in, cannot get in. I literally... Izzy, I've tried every permutation.
Were you on vacation until 9:59 a.m. Eastern?
I was on the, ask Mikey C. Look at, right now it's 30 minutes. I've been on hold for 30 minutes. I called the first line. They redirected me. I said, I'm going to be on the air, Le Batard Show. They're like, never heard of it. I'm like, okay, thanks for listening. And by the way, the 30 minutes while I was suffering, while you guys were working and doing the local hour, Julie Andrews and Dick Van Dyke are singing songs from Frozen. Okay? You want painful torture here? That's torture. Just give me the password. So right now, my man is on the phone right now. He just asked me as you were telling that spiel. He goes, are you still there? I'm like, yes, I'm still here. I'm on the air. 10:10. I will get back to you and I will get a password reset. So I apologize.
10:10. So we have 4 minutes and 30 seconds until you get your password.
That's correct. He goes, I'll hang in there for until 10:10. I go, all right, hey, hard out. I'm going to pretend it's a hard network out. 10:10:04. Whatever we're saying, I got to get out.
Okay. That's great. Mikey?
Yes.
The last time we spoke to you, you told us a story about sitting in your car attempting to cry by poking yourself in the eye. And that didn't work. And now you have a story about a toothache from last night?
Well, it's not much of a story.
It's always a good story with you, man. All you have to do is speak into the microphone and people will be entertained.
The craziest thing is it didn't bother me until I laid down and the blood started rushing to it kind of evens out and goes to your head. Standing up, walking around, perfectly fine. Feel like a normal kid. Lay down.
Whoa. You still call yourself a kid?
I was feeling pretty good yesterday. Maybe kid is.
How old are you?
It. I'm like 41.
Okay. You need to stop doing that.
Yeah, you're a kid. Yeah.
What?
You're not a kid.
You guys are the same age. Izzy, aren't you 41?
Yes, and I have not referred to myself as a kid since I was a kid.
So yeah, go to lay down. Like 10 minutes into it, all of a sudden excruciating pain in my tooth. So I ended up...
So you poked yourself in the eye, and then what?
I almost didn't even have to. They were almost coming naturally last night. So it was just all night, standing up till the pain went away, laying down, trying to get, a quick 5 minutes of sleep, and then standing back up again.
Sounds terrible.
For 8 hours.
How many cigarettes did you smoke with this toothache?
Oh, I went through a pack and a half.
Oh, my God. Oh, boy.
Do you think there's any correlation between the smoking and the toothache?
No, actually, I think that helped because it thins out your blood, so it was making the pressure on my tooth less painful. Actually.
Cigarettes always good for health-related concerns.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Just smoke a pack and you'll be good. Adnan.
Is he?
Given that, so this is the third consecutive day I've filled in for the Le Batard show with somebody that I've never worked with, and if I have worked with you, I apologize for forgetting, but I'm pretty sure we have not.
This is our maiden voyage. We had a couple of, you're hopping on the Rosillo show for a segment or two.
True.
But this is our first time together, all 3 hours, my man.
And since we have had zero time to plan this out, given, the toothache story and the password issues with ESPN. By the way, you're in Bristol. Is there not a room where all these people are that you can walk to faster than you can wait half an hour on the phone?
Thank you. We're at 34 minutes of waiting. There should be a mission control. We are the worldwide leader. Just people available for morons like me who cannot remember a password. And we'll be right with you immediately, sir. And immediately should be immediately. You would think the card of I'm going to be on the air in 3 minutes would work. Doesn't work. They go, okay, yeah, we'll get to you in a second. Meantime, we've got somebody in HR who's more pressing.
All right. So what is the most exciting thing that's happening so far, Adnan, to catch you up, is Mina Kimes is on Get Up this week.
I love Mina Kimes, except for the fact she always lies about seeing movies. Other than that, I love her.
Okay, we'll get to that. Sounds like a pent-up frustration there. So she, as we have, I don't know if we coerced her into asking for one, or she just learned she's getting one, but she is getting one of those top 5 with the silhouettes behind her lists for tomorrow's show, and she's taking suggestions from us as to what to do. This could be the best moment of Billy's career, at least on this show.
I'm excited, man.
What do you think? What do you think we should do, Adnan? Is there... It can't be too wacky. It's got to be sports related, and it's got to have, obvious silhouette options.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Hitchcock. I think of silhouettes. I think of Hitchcock. But Mikey C, it looks like he's got one that he's brewing here. Mike, am I misreading your body language here?
No, I'm just impressed that Adnan is doing a radio show and talking to the help desk at the same time. You should see this. I wish we were on
They
TV
should rename
today.
themselves. They're not very helpful.
All right.
I got an idea for the list.
What do you got?
Go ahead, Chris.
Top 5 lists on Get Up ever.
Oh, had there even been 5? The show's just a new
There's like 5 a day.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I was there last month. I did top 5 sports movies.
Oh,
I
you
love
did
it,
one,
Chris.
Adnan?
Yeah, I did. I did my top 5 sports movies.
Oh, can we do that right now, real quick? Can we get your top 5?
Yeah, if I can. Hang on, the guys. Oh, no, that's okay. I'll keep going. Number 1, I had Raging Bull.
Oh, you can't start from
you
number
gotta start
one.
from 5. You gotta
It's like
start
you've
from
never
5.
done this before.
Well, yeah, you asked me off impromptu here. I'm trying to get a password assistance. I did it a month ago, for God's
Put the
sake.
dude on
God,
speaker. We
give me
can
10
all get your
seconds
password
here.
together.
Hang on a second. I don't know. I now have to go backwards.
Here, I'll fill
okay.
while he's doing it.
No, I know it in order, so I'll just do it in order. If you guys want to go 5 to 1, I'll do it afterwards. Raging Bull was 1, $1 Million Baby was 2, 8 Men Out was 3. I know I had Hoop Dreams 4, and I can't for life me what I had at 5.
Oh, for crying out loud.
We're going to have to work on that. We really are going to have to work on that. And then you go ahead, get your password redone. Yeah. You don't have to put it on speaker so everybody in the nation knows your password. We'll go ahead and let you get that done. By the way, he's passed his deadline. It's 10:45 and counting.
No, there's no question.
10 and 45 and counting.
Support for the Dan Le Batard Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Let's talk about buying a home for a minute. Because of rising interest rates, there's a lot of unpredictability when it comes to buying a home these days. It's causing a lot of anxiety and stress for a lot of people. Well, our friends at Quicken Loans are doing something about that. They're calling it the power buying process. Here's how it works. Quicken Loans will verify your income, your assets, and credit in less than 24 hours to give you a verified approval. That gives you the strength of a cash buyer. Then once you're verified, you qualify for their all-new exclusive Rate Shield approval. This is very cool here. First, they'll lock your rate up for 90 days while you shop. Now, here's the best part. If rates go up, your rates stay the same. But if rates go down, your rate also drops. Either way, you win. It's the kind of thinking you'd expect from America's largest mortgage lender. To get started, simple. Go to rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz. Rate Shield approval, only valid on certain 30-year purchase transactions. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply based on Quicken Loans data in comparison to public data records. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Dan Le Batard.
Texter writes in here, so you and Big Stu are new and fresh now. Soon you will be old and stale.
Stugotz.
That is true. Soon we will be the old stale thing, and that'll be sad, and you'll be sad for us, and we'll be sad, and I'll rail against it. It'll be a single shaking fist as I sink into the sea, and then it'll sink, and I'll be gone, and you'll miss me because I'll have become Princessa. But not yet, and not now. My time. Our time. But it's going to be great when that fist goes sinking into the sea. You guys are going to enjoy that.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
That is Izzy Gutierrez. I'm Adnan Virk. Great to have you with us here on the Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio. Password assistance coming through in flying colors in 42 minutes. So I'm now locked in and ready to play along with the gang. Good to have the shipping container and Izzy, of course, down in Miami. I'm here with Mikey C. and the folks in Bristol. Before we dive into, I'm sure we're going to have some sports content today, Izzy, I'd like to shout out the Le Batard crew for participating in my birthday video. So the last time I was hosting the show, Billy was very persuasive and very strong-willed that I should be celebrating this milestone of middle age by going to celebrate Pitbull in Hungary. Did not make the trek to Budapest.
Whoa.
Go ahead.
Slow down, Adnan. How old did you turn?
40, my man.
Okay, 40. Good year. I remember it like it was last year.
I was going to say, you're still in your 30s. Come on.
No, I'm 41, my man. I am the elder statesman here. And he was trying to convince you to see Pitbull, as in Mr. Worldwide, Mr. 305?
Yeah.
Right.
You only turned 40 once.
Yeah.
That's true.
Billy's point was excellent because Kirkchin is boys with Pitbull, right, Billy? So you were making that connection.
Of course. I mean, I'm sure
Naturally.
Tim could have just made a call and you would have had like crazy access to him. It would have been a night to never forget.
It was also sparked by, Izzy, the fact I have an old soul. Like, I don't, I know we've talked a little bit of music before in the past when you and Spain together. And what I was telling these guys is that, I love nothing more than Sinatra. And my wife said the closest we can get to Sinatra is Tony Bennett is playing in Vegas. And I said, if we go to see Tony Bennett in Vegas, the median age there is 76. Like when you're when you're turning 40, you want to feel young again, right, Billy? Your thought was go to Pitbull and you'll still feel like you're a young man.
Well, you know what? Now that I think of it, my logic was probably faulty because at Pitbull you may have been older, but if you were at the Tony Bennett concert, you would have been like the really young, cool guy.
Yeah. I'm actually going to an Elton John concert later this year.
Yes.
Yeah, but I did something entirely different for my 40th, but it was still music related. It just definitely made me feel younger than Frank Sinatra. I went to Vegas, but I went to EDC in Vegas, and that is Electric Daisy Carnival, which is an EDM music festival. And I don't know necessarily if that sort of failed me and sort of making me feel older.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you, my itinerary was arguably the most impressive party itinerary ever created. And it was my first time ever in Vegas, so I had no idea how difficult it was to maintain. And for 4 days, what then became an extended fifth day, I probably executed that itinerary better than anybody could have in their lifetime, and somehow got out of there alive. That was my 40th.
Okay, now the itinerary, I'm assuming jam-packed with action. I don't know how many details you want to give us, but just the fact
pool
that you
party,
survived,
EDC,
right.
Pool party, EDC, nightclub, EDC, pool party, another nightclub. Oh, it was a lot.
I did not have quite the bit of riotous action, but I want to shout out my wonderful wife, Eamon, because she had the best present ever, and everybody out there who has a spouse or a loved one or whomever they want to surprise, do it for mom and dad. I don't care who it is. This is the best gift you can get. So before the birthday, I was terrified that no one was going to do anything because I have, nobody that cares about me in my life. So I had emailed a few of my buddies and going back to Toronto. I said, listen, guys, I'm turning 40. I'd love to get together for dinner. And a couple of guys, one of my buddies, Kiss, I'm actually going to be in Cooperstown. He loves Alan Trammell. He's not going to be in town. I understand that. A couple of friends are going to be out of town. So I tell my wife, I said, listen, hey, we're going to be back. I'm going to go out Saturday night with some friends. She goes, what do you mean? I said, and she looks like just horrified. I go, no, you come too. We're just going to celebrate the birthday. She goes, well, you can't do that. I said, oh, you've got something planned. She goes, well, I was planning something, but whatever. She goes, are they coming or are they not coming? I go, well, a couple of guys are busy, but a couple of guys said they're in. She goes, oh, God, your friends are awful. And I go, all right. So she goes, listen, don't do anything now. Don't respond. Just I'm figuring something out because the actual birthday is Sunday, the same birthday as Stugotz, July 29th. So she goes, don't do anything. Yeah, maybe it'll be Saturday, maybe it'll be Sunday. We'll figure it out. I'm like, okay. She goes, in the meantime, can I get your Apple ID? I said, what? She goes, I want to get your Apple ID. I want to invite some people, but and I go, well, I don't understand. How would it be a surprise then if I know you're in my, she goes, well, you know who I'm inviting. I'm going to go, wait, Joe Tessitore is going to show up? Like, how, this would be incredible if he flies to Toronto for this. She goes, I'm just telling you, it's going to be a really good surprise.
Did she get Pitbull?
She then said, can I get your email password, my Hotmail? That's how old I am. I said, are you kidding? By the way, what wonderful trust we have in this relationship. I'm like, go ahead, take my emails, take my phone, whatever you need. Now, I have a bonehood friend who on the day of the Saturday said, see you tonight. So I clearly knew the surprise party was not happening on Sunday, day of birthday. It was going to be Saturday night. However, prior to going, she shows me this video. Incredible. It was like high school, college friends, work friends from places I worked at the Score, TSN, etc. Sid Sixero, we all know him on the show, fraud. And it was amazing. She had it was like everybody did these video tribute birthdays. I said, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed with emotion. Like 25 minutes long, at least 30 people. We then go out for dinner.
Before you left?
That's correct.
Wow.
We go, and she goes, the reason why is your friends are so dumb. I don't want to go to dinner and then they're going to say, hey, do you know about the video?
Ouch.
And on the way there, I'm pretending to play along here, Izzy. Like she's going, well, let's just take, everybody knows Toronto traffic's horrific. So I was like, well, let's just take the subway. She goes, no.
Nobody knows that, by the way.
No, everyone knows that.
Nobody knows that Toronto's traffic.
I didn't know
absolutely.
that. I had no idea.
No, see, that's terrible. You guys are so local down there. Anybody who actually knows anything knows that Toronto's up there with L.A., Atlanta, and New York. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It is okay.
Don't even throw D.C. in there. They have the worst traffic ever.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, D.C. is in the top 5.
Everyone thinks they have the worst traffic, by the way.
Have you driven down here?
Have you tried to leave the beach in the last 2 weeks?
That's terrible. Oh,
Billy is right about everyone thinking they're the worst traffic because empirically, Toronto's in the top 5, but Billy's right. I had people who are like, no, Virginia's much worse. Have you been to certain areas of Virginia in July? Anyways, we drive down there. I said, because she goes, listen, now your friends know the party. That's fine. Let's just pretend it's a surprise. We have a nice dinner. Everything goes great. We go home. She goes, I have another surprise. She's so eager for this one. This is an ESPN group of videos. And halfway through, we got Scott Van Pelt. We got Neil Everett. We got Linda Cohn. I'm overcome with emotion. I said, I'm praying you got the Levitard guys. Tell me you got the Levitard crew. She goes, just wait. The third last video is Stugotz wishing himself a happy birthday, which was classic Stu. And then
I think I was here when he filmed that, actually.
And then it is the entire crew. It was so great to have Billy and Allison was not pictured. Roy was there. Chris is there. Mike Ryan and Levitard wishing me a happy birthday. And all of them are so great. And Levitard is not interested. He does not like me. He says he's wishing me a terrible day. I'm like, this is my life. The Levitard show is a part of my birthday. So I just want to thank you guys for orchestrating it and being a part of it, even though Pitbull was not a part of it.
That is so sad.
But I promise that we'll get some sports talk in here momentarily. Coming up next, Broncos fans are starting a GoFundMe to buy their way out of Paxton Lynch's contract. How many other bad contracts in the history of sports would we like to do that to? That is coming up next. It's Adnan Virk and Izzy Gutierrez joining forces on the Lebatard Show.
Don Lebatard.
I would like to help out the board op on Golic and Wingo. Cliff, I am your voice. I was you once. I am you. Golic and Wingo laughed at Cliff the board op. And Cliff, I'm telling you, they all laughed at me at one point. They're still laughing.
Can we talk to Cliff right now? I want to ask him who in sports looks like they might have dandruff. Can we talk to Cliff right now since you've decided to use this first segment to send shout-outs to Cliff the board op?
Stugotz.
Guys, it appears that we have Cliff the board.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Cliff the board op. The question is posed to you. Mike, get our top-of-the-line entertainment production ready. Who in sports most looks like they probably have dandruff?
Is that to me?
Thank you, Cliff. Your big shining moment. You are indeed the Stugotz of the board op world. Hey, goodbye, everybody.
This is the Don Lebatard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
That's Israel Gutierrez. I'm Adnan Virk. I love it when we're just, cross country. Nobody can see each other. No body language. Makes for wonderful interruptions. Wonderful reads, though, I must admit. And again,
Well, thank you.
all Blue Eyes is bringing it for us.
Can I interrupt you, though, as we're interrupting each other here?
Go ahead.
What happened at the end there where you said like a bunch of stuff and would they call that a tease?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounded way too regimented. Like it sounded way too normal sports radio. And so I wanted to just sort of veer off a little bit.
Sure.
And at least hold off your tease.
Right.
Because I wanted to thank Twitter user, I guess. I don't know what he is. Fan of the show. Mr. Sean Watson. There's a G in that Sean for some reason. He sent a list of the 10 most congested cities in the world. And I'm going to keep it to a top 5, just in the spirit of the show and in Mina Kimes' top 5 that she's going to get tomorrow that we are largely anticipating. Adnan, because you claimed the last segment that Toronto had the worst traffic in the world.
Top 5, yes.
Top 5. Okay. So the top 5 most congested cities in the world, number 5 is San Francisco. Man,
it's pretty bad.
I can't get the horns. I can't get the imaging. Come on, man.
I'm pretending, by the way, that there's shadows when you're doing this. That there's like silhouettes of the city. Like, guys, if you can, well, not if you're driving, but if you're not driving and you're listening on an app or whatever, close your eyes right before he says it and imagine the city revealing itself on a board behind Mike Greenberg.
Yeah, and with San Francisco, I think the Golden Gate Bridge is too much of a giveaway, so I would go like the Full House.
Ooh.
Right? That's a good. Number 5, San Francisco. Timing, excellent. Number 4, Sao Paulo, Brazil. There's a tie at number 2, believe it or not. There's Moscow and New York City. And the number 1 most congested city in the world, not Toronto.
No, capital of Ontario. Here we go.
Los Angeles. Number 6 through 10, Toronto's not there either, Adnan.
Are you kidding? This list is bogus. I don't believe this list whatsoever. I see your evidence, Izzy, and I discard it immediately.
Sean Watson with a G says differently.
Sean Watson doesn't know what he's doing. If it was Deshaun Watson, I'd take over this Sean Watson. Anyways.
If Deshaun Watson had a G in his first name, he wouldn't be as good as he is.
Completely change his career. I always rely on Chris and Roy to give us all the show content. And I love this story. Broncos fans starting a hilarious GoFundMe to buy out Paxton Lynch's contract. He has not seen much NFL action in his first 2 seasons. 5 career games, 4 starts. He is 1-3, 792 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. Not great. Preseason, 6 of 11, 24 yards, and a pick. So nobody likes him, and they're starting a GoFundMe to get the guy out of here. The reason I bring it up is A, if this works, it'd be amazing, revolutionize sports. But B, and particularly in the NBA, the sport you know better than anyone, think of like the bad NBA contracts. Imagine if you could have GoFundMes to get out of said contract. Which are the ones that come to mind? Because I'm thinking the Knicks had a bunch of doozies, right? Brian Grant, Jerome James. Like, what's the contract you go, oh my God, if they could have had a GoFundMe in year 2, it would have markedly changed a team's fortunes.
I'm pretty sure that Zach Lowe would be very angry at you for saying that I know basketball more than anyone.
I don't know, Zach, so I'm going to stand on this hill and die on it for now.
You know Brian Windhorst?
Wendy and I don't know each other that well. That's okay.
Right.
If you
I'll
want to
take
come
that
at me,
compliment then. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. What contract would have, down here, currently, people want to buy out Hassan Whiteside's contract. I don't know if that would change the fortunes of the organization, but they would have changed the last year at the very least. In the history of the NBA, that one's going to give me some time. Because normally, like, they've had this option where, you could either buy out a guy or you could stretch his contract or whatever recently. So I got to think back in the day where that wasn't an option where you could buy those out. Like, I'm trying to think of some really bad Knicks contracts that they've got themselves into.
Billy, think of we go all sports. You don't have to go basketball. Think of a contract oh my God, if they can get out of this contract, all of a sudden it changes the whole team.
Oh, Wei Yin Chen for me, but I mean that's because I love the Marlins.
Yeah.
Wei Yin Chen is the worst contract the Marlins have ever signed. I mean, they're stuck with him for like the next 3 years. He's making like $20 million per year.
That might be one of the worst contracts in history of sports.
No, but I mean, no one cares about the Marlins nationally. But it really handcuffed them because they had to that's why Stanton is gone because they can't get rid of Wei Yin Chen's contract. No one's going to take that contract. He can't stay healthy, and they owe him like $60 million still.
I would say right now, Bobby Bonilla.
Oh no. Bobby Bo, that's a good one. He gets $1 million every year. It's great.
Bobby Bo, I don't know. Did that change the Mets at all? I mean, he worked on that deal. I would say the Lakers probably wouldn't have been as bad as they were if they didn't commit those last couple years to Kobe as much as they did. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's an unpopular opinion for the Kobe fans, but I'm with you. That's a ton of money for
worked out all right for the Lakers.
It has, eventually. I mean, I don't know. They're getting the tail end of LeBron. It might not be the best version of LeBron ever, but not bad.
Chandler Parsons, somebody tweeting in, 4-year, $94 million, signed as a free agent 2016.
Chandler, man. Poor Chandler Parsons. He can't stay healthy. And the thing about him is, and this is my opinion on him, was that he was the best buddy of everybody in the NBA. Like, he was everybody's best friend. Therefore, he could get any contract he wanted, even though you knew when you signed him, you weren't going to be able to keep him healthy. I mean, from Mark Cuban to, I think, DeAndre Jordan. I think there was a lot of guys who were Chandler Parsons' best friend, and I think that's what got him that contract.
For those who are unaware of how bad Parsons has been, 3 season-ending knee surgeries, averaged 31 minutes played per game in his career. He shot 34% from the field, scored 6 points a game. Yeah, that's a doozy.
Would you guys down here have bought out Ndamukong Suh's contract almost immediately upon signing?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't a great one. It kind of reminded us of like Albert Hainsworth back in the day with the Redskins.
7 years, $100 million. Tough one. Coming up next, that does it for our sports content. Jim Tomsula is back, swearing near children and salting up beers. The best. It's Adnan Virk and Izzy Gutierrez in for Dan and Stu today on the Lebatard Show on ESPN Radio.
To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com.
Don Lebatard.
That movie was good, man. 300? Roy, are you disputing? Roy, I will fight you. At Lebatard Show, Guillermo, was 300 good?
Stugotz.
I'll argue 300 is the best action movie of all time.
Oh, get out of here.
Fight me.
Get out of here.
Fight me.
I'll fight you with Tango and Cash.
Don't at me.
This is the Don Lebatard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Adnan Virk alongside Izzy Gutierrez here on the Lebatard Show on ESPN Radio. Thrilled to have you with us. Earlier we were speaking about bad contracts as Broncos fans are starting a GoFundMe to get out of Paxton Lynch's contract. Thank you to all those tweeting other contracts that you wish your team could have got a GoFundMe and gotten out of it. Albert Pujols, of course, a easy one with the Angels. Chris Davis, the Orioles, has been a disaster. Luol Deng and the Lakers. Charlie Weiss, Notre Dame. Thanks for all the options. Those are pretty good picks there, Izzy.
Yeah, those aren't bad. I forgot all about Chris Davis. He was pretty good for like a minute.
It's a bunch of home runs. Now he can't hit home runs. He can't do anything else. Not a recipe for success. One of the best bits ever on this program is, of course, the Looks Like game. And I would argue, and we can go around the room on this if you like, but I don't think you can get anything better than Jim Tomsula. When I said to Billy, because Chris had sent a list of ideas, Jim Tomsula is back in the news. I said, send me the list of looks likes for Tomsula, and Billy just informed me there's over 100. We've called the list to 20, and we'll get through some of those in a second, but just to let you know what Tomsula is up to. You know, he did go 6-11 in 2 different stints with the San Francisco 49ers, but he's been Washington's defensive line coach since 2017, has been relatively anonymous in his first season with the club. Reading here from SB Nation. Of course, he's not been anonymous to fans of this program. Hasn't been as quiet in 2018, where a handful of totally harmless antics have just proven to be one of the best coaches in the league to sit down with and grab a beer. A Jets reporter just was asked which coach was screaming F-bombs. It told him it was Jim Tomsula. Oh, well, he needs to watch his language. There are kids here. Jim Tomsula is a bit animated today with the defensive line. Get me the effing ball. I want that ball. I don't come back without it. I just saw a guy in the pouring rain absolutely darting through a parking lot in a bike. Impressively fast. Guy yells, hey, how you doing from a distance? He gets closer. It's Jim Tomsula. Chad Ryan tweeting, I had a great chat with Jim Tomsula here at camp about beer. He wanted to know what a good Australian beer was and then told me if I'm going to drink PBR, he had a secret from growing up in the mills. Freezing cold PBR and then put a pinch of salt in it. Change your life. Would you want, Izzy, Jim Tomsula as the coach of your team, considering this type of boorish behavior?
I'm actually intrigued by the salt in the beer thing. Didn't that come up yesterday, Cody?
Yeah, because I saw that story yesterday. Is this a thing? Salt in beer?
Well, the first thing that came to mind when you mentioned it was, Adnan, this is just going to keep happening. Like, I'm going to take a nugget of what you're talking about and just keep going off on a tangent.
Please.
But it made me think of it was Woody Page with the peanuts in the Pepsi thing. Like, have you ever heard of that, Adnan?
No. I haven't. Please tell me. I love Woody Page when you guys run around.
Yeah, apparently it's like a thing. Like, do a quick Google search for it. Like peanuts in your Coca-Cola. Apparently it gives it a little bit of saltiness. Maybe it sort of effervesces a little bit more. Is that a word?
Effervescent, yeah.
And yeah, so I'm guessing the salt in the beer thing is just that. Like, you put like finishing salt on food, it's going to bring the flavor out a little better, right? So anytime you put salt in even a beverage, is it going to do the same?
I know I have an uncle who goes big on salt on watermelon. Is that absurd? Has anyone else ever heard of that?
Salt on a watermelon? No.
Yeah. You know,
I'm clearly a salt person.
Sounds fantastic.
Right, because it gives you that sweet and sour mix. Sorry, Izzy, I'm Googling. Woody Page peanuts?
Just Google peanuts and cola, if you will. And so you come up and there's apparently it's a tradition in the South, I guess, and Woody is, I think, from Tennessee.
Peanuts and Coca-Cola, delicious or disgusting? No matter the impetus, the peanuts and Coke concoction is real, and I am shooketh. You're right. It's a Southern tradition most of the Internet is not aware of. All right, Mikey C., you're dismissed. Go ahead. We can get Roy to run the thing even from here. You got to go get some peanuts and Coke here in this commercial break. We got to figure out how that's going to go. But I love when there's odd traditions.
Yeah,
seriously.
There's a process to it, right? There's it says peanuts and Coca-Cola, a beloved, delicious Southern tradition. Step 1, procure Coca-Cola. Here's how they used to do it, and that was with a glass bottle. Step 2, procure peanuts. Grab a small bag of roasted peanuts. Step 3, combine. Tear open a small corner of your peanuts and pour those babies right into the Coca-Cola. There's no step 4, but I assume it's drink/eat.
I'm all in on that. I love it. Peanuts and Coca-Cola. We're going to give this a shot.
My fear is that, like, if you're drinking the Coke and you unknowingly get a peanut, right, like you're going to choke on it, or maybe you're like unexpected and it goes down the wrong tube, and then there's like a CPR situation like that. You've got to perfect this. This can't be like something you do casually.
Trey Wingo chiming in via text, putting peanuts in your Coca-Cola has long been a staple south of the Mason-Dixon line in this country. Also, people used to solve their beer to get a bigger head on their mug of beer. It really doesn't work at all. You get is salty your beer. So
salt in beer is being Googled now. The salt crystals help the teeny tiny carbon dioxide bubbles get together to form a carbon dioxide bubble large enough to float to the surface. So sprinkling a bit of salt into a nearly flat beer helps pull the remaining carbonation out to give you a head again.
Aha.
We're on to something here. We're also onto this. Jim Tomsula looks like the first guy a newly separated mom goes on a date with.
Yes.
Jim Tomsula sounds like a monster a Creole grandma comes up with to keep kids quiet. Keep quiet or that Jim Tomsula is coming out of the swamp.
That's the one. That's the one right
best
there.
one. Jim Tomsula looks like the manager of a struggling Little Caesars. I knew that would get a laugh. Jim Tomsula looks like a gas station manager who is lax on cigarette age laws but tough on the $10 credit card minimum.
Those are so annoying.
Jim Tomsula looks like the guy that brings donuts to work to share and he eats 90% of them. Jim Tomsula looks like the men's league basketball ref who's losing control of the game and knows he can't get it back.
I think I like the Little Caesars one the best.
Jim Tomsula looks like a retired monster truck driver. Jim Tom Sewell looks like a 1980s Olympic bronze medalist shot putter.
Ah, that's a classic.
Jim Tom Sewell looks like the guy who shows up to Endless Shrimp at Red Lobster and asks, what's the record for the most shrimp eaten? Jim Tom Sewell looks like a baggage handler at the airport.
Did you ever do these voiceovers? I feel like that sounds familiar. Maybe it's just your voice is so soothing.
He did.
You did.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was for the NIT. We had Hank Azaria did the actual one. I did the looks of the NIT.
Did you get like any sort of voiceover work as a result after that?
I'm glad you bring that up, Izzy. Actually, I have a voiceover story coming up, but let me just tell you this. Jim Tom Sewell looks like a guy who's blamed more farts on people than he has claimed.
See, I hate people who blame farts on other people. Like, own your stuff, man. Like, if you're going to do that in public in front of other people, just say it's you. I think there's a little bit of respect that comes with that.
I blame it on the dog.
That's always classy. It's a good way to go. Like, they can't fend for themselves, but yeah, claim your stuff.
Whoever smelt it, dealt it, plus voiceover stories, and Kawhi Leonard doesn't like Toronto. Maybe it's the traffic. Izzy and Virk, Le Batard Show, ESPN Radio.
Stugotz here for ZipRecruiter. Hiring used to be hard, multiple job sites, stacks of resumes, a confusing review process, but today, hiring can be easy, and you only have to go to one place to get it done, ZipRecruiter.com/Dan. ZipRecruiter sends your jobs to over 100 of the web's leading job boards, but they don't stop there. With their powerful matching technology, ZipRecruiter scans thousands of resumes to find people with the right experience and invite them to apply to your job. As applications come in, ZipRecruiter analyzes each one and spotlights the top candidates so you never miss a great match. ZipRecruiter is so effective that 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. With results like that, it's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the highest rated hiring site in America. And right now, my listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/Dan. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Dan. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Dan. DAN. They asked me to spell that. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
That's Izzy Gutierrez. I'm Adnan Virk, joining forces today on the Le Batard Show with Stugotz, minus Dan or Stu, but much of the shipping container, thankfully, along here with us. Hour one in the books. Guys did the local hour two, so they're really feeling it right now. So we want to talk about Kawhi Leonard and this nonsense happening with him. So, obviously a marvelously talented player. At his apex, top 5, maybe top 3, if you want to push it a little bit. Has the major injury. Doesn't want to be back with the Spurs. Obviously, everybody knows he wants to go to Los Angeles, goes to the Raptors. Izzy doesn't want to be in Toronto. Yeah, high taxes, it's cold, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to be there. Then Adrian Wojnarowski had reported a couple weeks ago that Kawhi was warming to it. But does anybody honestly think he's going to stay in Toronto beyond this year?
What's the tax situation in Toronto?
It's misleading. People always think it's absurdly higher than it is. It's a little
bit
bit
higher.
Like
the traffic?
No, the traffic is well known by all. The high taxes is misled by others. But I like the move for the Raptors. This is a team that was stagnant in that they couldn't get over that hump. And there's enough people, Izzy, who said, no, LeBron's gone now. You're good. I'm like, what? You got swept by the Cavs in back-to-back years. The Celtics are better, and a lot of people think the Sixers are better. Masai rolled the dice. Said, you know what? DeRozan's a very good player, a great guy. I love the fact that he was energized and committed to the city. The fact that he signed a long-term deal was awesome. The fact that so many thought he was going to go to L.A. and he stayed in Toronto. But you know what? He's not a great player. He's a very good player and a great scorer, but wasn't able to elevate, especially come playoff time. So Masai says, why not? Let's go ahead and get Kawhi. Who's the better player? Worst case scenario, Kawhi doesn't want to be in Toronto. Maybe you flip him the deadline. Probably not. You just go through the year. You see what happens. Let's say it's blase. Fine. You lose him and then you rebuild anyways. You're out from under a DeRozan contract by which he was overpaid. Best case scenario, you have a transcendent year. You end up winning the East. You'll get swept by the Warriors in the finals, but who cares? The Raptors actually make an NBA Finals, which for a franchise which has been around since 1996, that would be an amazing accomplishment. He realizes he can get $50 million more with the Raptors and resigns. Like, I like the move from Masai's perspective, Izzy, but I get the fact why people are so skeptical because Kawhi is such an enigma.
Are you a Toronto native? Like, you were born there?
Correct. Born there. I grew up in a city a few hours away, but yeah,
okay.
Toronto guy.
But you are a Toronto sports fan.
Yeah.
And so when last year ended, and it ended with them being swept, sounds familiar, by LeBron and with DeMar on the bench for that fourth quarter, you knew there was going to be some version of an implosion, right? They were going to have to change something. It felt like, to me, similar to the late 90s, very early 2000 Miami Heat, who just couldn't get past Michael Jordan and the Bulls or the Knicks at some point. And so they had to tear it up. It just makes some significant changes. And didn't you think that DeMar was on the block? Like, wasn't he the primary candidate to get you something back?
It's interesting. I didn't think so. I honestly thought, I said Casey's going to be gone, which I know people from the outside say that's crazy. How can you win Coach of the Year and 59 games and then be jettisoned? And the reason is because you failed in the playoffs. Let's be real here. You're number one seed, and I like Casey, and I think he's a good coach, but it's that old axiom. Obviously, you can't trade all the players, so you hope that you fire the coach and change something up there. I'm not saying it's deserved, but I knew that one was coming. As far as personnel, you know as well as I do, they had a great bench. They were able to inject a lot of youth into it with Van Vliet and DeLon Wright, and obviously Anunoby was a star for them. But I'm like, those guys aren't being dealt. I honestly thought Lowry at 32, also overpaid. They can't get rid of him. I didn't think that DeRozan, let me put it this way, I thought he would be available in Masai's end. I wasn't sure where the match was going to be. So when I first heard about the inklings, the Kawhi deal, I'm like, do it. To me, that's a no-brainer. And I think most people in Toronto, at least friends or people that I talked to when I was back there, like the move, even if people say, but he's gone in a year. It's like, well, why not? Right? You got to try.
I only like it. You only can really like it if, and you almost have to play the result here, if they actually get to a finals. Because Jaylen Brown's over there in Boston guaranteeing they're getting to the finals. And so if you don't get there and it's just another year of either conference finals or less, and it's no LeBron knocking you out, then it was completely not worth it. And you lose the guy that's committed to you for his career. I am willing to take that risk. And I'm not, only because I have only seen Kyrie Irving healthy in about 60% of the playoffs that his career has included. So I like the deal in that respect, but I can understand some of the frustration there, because like Dwayne Casey went through, he didn't just try the same thing over and over again. Like, they changed the way they played, and they changed the bench, as you mentioned. But if your answer every year is, okay, we're going to have the same level of talent at the top, but maybe the bench is going to be a little bit better, and we're going to change the way we play. Let's see if that gets us over the top. That doesn't really work in the league, especially when you go back and you have sort of muscle memory, right? Like, you're DeMar DeRozan. You're an old school one-on-one, long two, mid-range type of player. When things get tough, you're gonna want to go back to that place. And I know during the regular season he didn't, but that's not when things get tough. When you're on the verge of 59 wins, things get tough in the playoffs. And there was a reason he was on the bench there. He wasn't defending particularly well, and it's not really one of his strengths. And on offense, like, you either got it's a 3-and-layup league, and if you are gonna move the ball league, and if you're gonna sit there and be the Carmelo Anthony of Canada, it's not gonna be great for that. And that sounds like an insult.
Yeah.
But it's not. Like, Carmelo was a great scorer and didn't do a whole heck of a lot leading his team when he was the lead guy. And so now, that was DeMar's role over there, and it wasn't great.
Yeah, no, I agree with the analogy, because it's like, listen, prolific scorer, but allergic to defense and unable to, as you said, exhibit the leadership skills to take the team to the next level.
Well, the leadership skills I don't necessarily buy. Like, DeMar's a good guy. Like, I would follow him if he was my best player, even if he is vocal or not. Like, that part doesn't really matter. It's just, the complete game is not there for him, and it was on the way there for Kawhi, and people had him in the top 3. Now, I think a year off is going to make him significantly rusty, and he had just gotten into the whole playmaking deal, right? And being good at it, right? As Tony Parker was drifting off, Kawhi was getting better at it, and and talking to Greg Popovich, not this past season but the year before, about him, he thinks there's a lot of room to grow for him as a playmaker, but he's still not there yet. So I don't know if it's automatic finals. Like, I'm still picking the Celtics to make the finals, and that makes it, kind of a questionable deal. Whereas when I initially made it, I said you got to go all in.
Billy, you like the move? If you're the Raptors, wouldn't you be happy to get Kawhi Leonard?
I love it. I mean, why not? If you have a chance, take it.
Exactly. That's my view. Because listen, it's kind of to Izzy's point, all right? Let's suppose it completely falls flat on its face. Kawhi doesn't want to be there. The Raptors, as Izzy said, let's get they ousted by the Celtics or the Sixers, second round conference finals, whatever it is. Well, then you got to reset. And I mean, listen, I just think when you see a team just completely go up against that same building block and they cannot get over that hump, there's nothing more frustrating than a team that doesn't do anything, right? There's nothing more frustrating than a team just married to mediocrity. It's like Einstein said, right? What is insanity? It's just doing the same thing every time and expecting a different result. So you roll the dice, Izzy. If it doesn't work out, well, it doesn't work out.
Yeah. But what if Kawhi is just like a jerk? Like, what if he really, like, think about this. Like, I understand that there's a lot of, like, San Antonio stands out there, right? Bruce Bowen being one of them. What is going on my phone? Bruce Bowen being one of them. And
that's a fine, by the way.
Yeah, it should be.
Get back to the phone, by the way.
I know. It was just, apparently I clicked on something that opened up a song that I have never heard of before.
Luckily, there was no cursing.
Was there? I don't even know if that's the case. I just heard a couple of things. And so, yeah, what if, like, because all of a sudden when he didn't, when he was complaining about his injury, like Tony Parker comes out and says stuff and other people say stuff for Greg Popovich. And now you got Bruce Bowen, who is the ultimate San Antonio Spurs stan. I mean, he had Number retired over there. I don't know why he was working for the Clippers anyway. And he's coming out questioning Kawhi Leonard. What if he's just kind of not the guy you think he is because he's quiet?
Yeah, the Bruce Bowen story. For those who are unaware, Bruce, of course, worked with us here as an NBA commentator, was working for the Clippers, but they've now dismissed him because of the fact he was critical of Kawhi Leonard. And listen, they want to try to lure him a year from now, and they don't want to have apparently one of their analysts criticizing his behavior.
Yeah, and the worst thing that he said about him was that he's getting bad advice. He's being misguided. He didn't call him a bad person. He said, you're getting bad advice and that should be fixed. And it's like the Clippers are like, nope, we're sure we're going to get him. You're gone.
As the world turns. Coming up next, Spike Lee's back. His best film since Inside Man. I can't wait to dive into a spoiler-heavy review of BlacKkKlansman. Adnan Virk, Izzy Gutierrez, Lebitard Show on ESPN Radio.
This is your bedroom. This is your bedroom with Blue Chew. Blue Chew uses the same active ingredients as in Viagra or Cialis, but now comes in chewable form. Chewable means better, cheaper, and works faster than pills. No in-person doctor visit, no waiting in line, no more awkwardness. 100% online at BlueChew.com, where your first order is free. Just pay $5 shipping. Use promo code DAN at BlueChew.com and restart the party.
Dan Le Batard.
Stugotz is a liar.
What happened?
Stugotz.
Well, we know this about you. It's not what happened. It's a statement of fact. You're someone who lies so much that you can be correctly identified as a liar. Yes, I don't. Did you even dispute that?
No, I don't.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Get in touch with us through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed at Lebitard Show. I'm at Is Gutierrez. I'm going to go ahead and assume that Adnan Virk is at Adnan Virk. I don't know if that's right or not. We should tweet that person.
Adnan ESPN. We're good.
Adnan ESPN. Close enough. It's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. I don't remember what you teased there, Adnan. But during the break, I found something out that's incredible, actually.
I can't wait. What do you got?
Did you know that today is Tim Tebow's birthday?
Oh, baby, here we go.
Yeah, it's crazy. Because the way I found that out is because, now this is Tim Tebow, the Major League Baseball, or the baseball player, right? The minor league baseball player. Yeah. Hasn't played in the NFL since when? I don't even know. The NFL just tweeted out, wishing him a happy birthday with 4 pictures of him from, did you remember him as a Philadelphia Eagle? Because one of these, it's him in a Broncos uniform in the forefront. It's him in a Patriots uniform, which I believe was just a preseason thing. It's him in a New York Jets uniform, and then it's him in a number 11 Eagles uniform, which is the same uniform that Carson Wentz wears, which made this very confusing as to why I thought for a moment Carson Wentz was in the photo wishing Tim Tebow, former NFL player, a happy 31st birthday by the NFL.
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
It is very confusing as to why the NFL is wishing him a happy birthday. Do they wish all former players happy birthdays or just the ones closest to God?
I think they're just trying to reach out to Tim and say, listen, you have done more for our league than we will ever realize, particularly in proportion to, length of duration in the league, games played, et cetera. So, hey, Tim, happy birthday.
It's very confusing.
So his last stop was at the Eagles. It was 2015. I think that's when Chip Kelly was the coach, and that was like the talk, like, oh, is Chip going to be able to do something with Tebow?
That's right.
He didn't.
No, nobody was able to do anything with Tebow except the Mets. They were able to make a distraction off of this terrible season of theirs.
Oh, he was an all-star. Come on. He would have been called up if he didn't break his hand.
Listen, Billy is absolutely right. Kirchin said to me he was shocked how well Tebow has played this season. He's right. All-star, and he would have been playing in September. There's no doubt.
Credit Chip Kelly.
I love Chip. Chip's the best. Now I was at the Pac-12 college football meetings, by the way. Chip looks great. UCLA, not high expectations. College football season just around the bend, a couple weeks from now. But I love the fact Chip is back in the college game. And you talk about a guy who's just going to thrive there. Not right now. We know it takes a little time to recruit a little bit, but Chip's going to do big things.
Where were those meetings?
I was in Los Angeles.
Of course you were. Was it just an excuse to go to L.A. to maybe get into the movie scene in some respect?
Yeah, had some meetings there with Hulu and Amazon about some projects I'm pitching, and then just said hello to Herm Edwards, did a little bit of work there. Herm, by the way, looks great. ASU, my guy's ready to go.
Listen, I don't know what kind of projects you're pitching, but I am very interested in a secondary career as an actor, perhaps. I can start off as an extra.
Dude,
I'm not opposed to nudity.
Anybody who's seen Izzy with his shirt off knows there's a reason why he's not opposed to nudity. He looks phenomenal. So you know what? You're well beyond extra. I'll go speaking role shirtless. I'll start the bidding there, and after that, I'll figure out the role.
And then I will leave this radio station right now, the studio right now, and just start doing some sit-ups. If you can promise me that I can get a speaking role, shirtless or non, because if I do wear a shirt, I'll just wear something really tight. Yeah, because I feel like I need to be on some sort of movie or some sort of project of yours.
I would love to make it happen. Speaking of shirts, Billy, I texted you the shirt I'm wearing, Guillermo Mafia. Did you see this?
I did see that. Where did you get that? Was that from like that official group? Well, not official, I guess unofficial group that just started a mafia? Did they send that to you?
Yeah, they DM me. They go, hey, listen, we love you. We love your role in the show. Can we send you some shirts? And I said, great. And I'm so narcissistic. I thought when he said, we love you and your role in the show, I thought it was going to like a picture of Le Batard saying, get him out of here, or my face or something. But no, it's all about Billy. It's just Guillermo Mafia shirts.
So you thought they were sending you something of yours.
That's how I was duped. Because he said, we love you and love you on the show. We have a shirt for you. And I was like, I thought it was specifically geared.
Yeah. No, I got one of those too, Adnan, and I know exactly where it is. It's on the second floor of Stash, right behind one of the couches. And if anybody found it there, I'd love to claim that back. I put it there and said, I'm going to pick this up before I leave. Never did. So it's still there. So you're welcome to whoever found that Guillermo Mafia shirt.
Yeah, Guillermo Mafia right now is in full effect in Bristol and in Miami. It is Adnan Virk and Israel Gutierrez, if you couldn't figure it out here, in the Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio. Just a quick thought here on Spike Lee and his return to relevance. He's one of my favorite directors. Do the Right Thing and Malcolm X are two of my favorite all-time top 10 movies. Since I love jazz, I love More Better Blues more than most people. Denzel Washington as a conflicted trumpeter, based a little bit on Spike Lee's dad. I also love Jungle Fever. It's a look at interracial marriage back in 1991. But you see the theme here. I'm pointing out movies which were a long time ago. Do the Right Thing was 89. More Better Blues was 90. Jungle Fever was 91. Malcolm X 92. Since then, Spike has had more misses than hits. If anybody had to sit through Chirac, The Sweet Blood of Jesus, Miracle at St. Anna, I started to get concerned. I do this with great artists. I start to say, can you get your fastball back? I look at them as athletes. I start to get worried. I said, was there a level of creative output that was virtually unmatched that you've just said all you need to say? Now you can't get back to it. A couple of notable documentaries along the way, Four Little Girls and his twin documentaries about Hurricane Katrina, When the Levees Broke. But I was so thrilled with Black Klansman on multiple levels here, Izzy. One, not only is it furious and surprisingly funny and provocative and very
furious meaning fast action, or furious meaning very angry?
Very angry. For those that don't know the story, it's based on a true story, which is rather improbable when I tell you the story, if you don't know what it is. John Stallworth was a black man in the Colorado Springs Police Department who was frustrated by the relative lack of inactivity on the force, and then pitched an idea about going undercover as part of the Ku Klux Klan. Now, he eventually was on the phone. Obviously, he can't be the guy in person. So Adam Driver, who's a fellow cop in the movie, who's Jewish, ends up being John Stallworth in person. And then John Stallworth, John David Washington, Denzel Washington's son, is playing the lead character. He's the guy communicating with the Klan on the phone. And Spike said he got Jordan Peele, of course, the star of Get Out, the director behind it. He's the one who called Spike, goes, listen, I got an idea for you. And he goes, 6 words. Black man infiltrates KKK.
Wow. So it's like Donnie Brasco for racists.
That's an excellent pitch. I'm sure the studio was like, how we can't really picture this. Donnie Brasco for racists. Oh, I got it. Forgot about it. So, listen, you know a story like this is, especially with Spike, there's nobody who can make more provocative films, like I said, about race. But the fact that he was able to find humor within it, because there are scenes that literally your skin is crawling. the level of racial epithets, and it's so the virulent racism there. And yet he's able to find the humor, at least amongst the police force, at least with how absurd this is what these guys are going to do. Ergo, there's one scene where John David Washington is trying to tell Adam Driver, you have to sound like me. Like when I'm talking to these guys on the phone and then you're going there in person, like we've got to kind of mimic each other. We've got to make our stories the same. So the story works on multiple levels. One, about race in America, but two, just about police work. And I think is always a fascinating, the idea of being undercover. And then three, and this is the spoiler heavy part of it, he ties it to today. Spike released the film purposely the 1-year anniversary of what happened in Charlottesville a year ago, and he shows scenes of what's happening in the present day and shows that even though this is a period piece, it's still awfully relevant to today. So please do go check out BlacKkKlansman, Four Maple Leafs. I give it my cinephile highest ranking. Roy, I know you're going to go see it, right?
Absolutely.
Can I tell you my Spike Lee story?
Please.
All right, I'll tell you after the break.
Dan Le Batard.
Deion Sanders is the best to ever do it. I think we've talked to you before briefly. I don't know how. At one point, you had gone public saying you had a sex addiction, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
Stugotz.
No, that wasn't me. That was another guy. Ain't no sex addiction. I love sex just as much as you love sex. Ain't no addiction. You like I'm a sexaholic or something? You try to get a confession out of me.
I feel like I've talked to you about that before.
No, that wasn't me. That was the other Sanders. That wasn't me. That wasn't me.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Adnan Virk alongside Israel Gutierrez. Deion Sanders, sex addict. How long ago was that? I missed that episode.
I don't know how long ago that was, but it feels like the beginning of Dan's memory being in strong decline.
Oh, God. Oh, don't bring that up.
But Izzy, think about like all things you could ask a guest and they could kind of shrug it off. Like if you had somebody, well, you were a sex addict, right? How'd you overcome that? That's a tough one to get out of.
Yes. I mean, like I don't want to mock the idea of a sex addict, but I laugh every time I hear that phrase. But yeah, if you're going to ask somebody a question that's potentially insulting, I don't think that's on the list. I think that's not a bad question to ask. Are you a sex addict? Nope, just have it a lot.
Nope, just in favor of it and eager for it and do it a lot. Okay, yes. Great. Of all the addictions, which one do you think is the toughest to crack? Because apparently you don't think sex addiction, I'm guessing by your tone.
You know, this is really not funny, but funny in a way. Like I had a friend who went to a place, like went to a
sex rehab
for well, it was called a sex addiction, but it was one of many that just happens to be the one that got him through the door. Really weird.
Wow. No, I mean, listen, we all know any sort of addiction is tough, but I'm with you. I think that initially there was a time that you heard sex addict and it was just like, well, everyone's a sex addict, right? Like, okay, who's not into this? But now I'm with you that it's turned at least, maybe not all the way. I think there's still enough, as you said, that kind of raise an eyebrow or snicker and say, is that an addiction to, well, yeah, like any sort of compulsion is an addiction. Anything that, you become obsessive about and it starts impacting your life is a bad thing. And Mike, you see, is nodding right now. He clearly battles his own demons himself.
Just wishing I had that instead of cigarettes, yeah.
Listen, what would be an easier addiction for you to give up? A sex addiction or a cigarette addiction?
I think cigarettes probably.
That's incredible. The grip nicotine has on you is more pervasive than sexual addiction. That's incredible.
Oh. I'm sorry, guys. Mike, he just makes me laugh so much.
Well, pretty soon cigarettes are going to cost as much. Yeah.
I wish I had that addiction. In that voice is probably one of the greatest sentences I've ever heard.
Yeah, that'll be a drop on the show at some point. Billy, if I came to you, I said, I can't do the show tomorrow. I've got a sex addiction. I've actually have a meeting tomorrow. What would your immediate reaction?
Off the wagon, yeah.
What a turn this took today.
Wasn't there a sex addicts meeting in Horrible Bosses 2?
Yeah.
Is that what that's what that was,
Good
right?
reference, yes.
Yeah.
It didn't end well.
Movie guy?
Yeah, it did not end well. Izzy, I want to hear the Spike story.
Oh, okay. So it's not great. But so here's the Spike Lee story.
It's gotta be great. Come on.
Man, I am gonna work this cough button.
Yeah.
He's working it right now.
Yeah.
So it was, I believe, 2015. I was in Chicago for, of course, the flag football tournament. The Pride Bowl, it was called. It still is called. And so maybe it was 2015. I think it was 20. Did I say 2015? It was 2015. Let's get that
cough time going.
And so I, of course, am in Nike Town, and in downtown Chicago with 1, 2, 3 other people. And for whatever reason, there's a lot of levels at this Nike Town. Not that I'm a lazy person, but we jumped in the elevator. to go back down from whatever floor we were to the exit floor. And there's about 4 or 5 people in there. I think 2 or 3 of them get out of the elevator and the 4 of us get in. And who is in the elevator but Spike Lee?
Yes.
And so I think one more floor is a stop and then other people get off. And then it's just me, my people, and Spike Lee. And then and he's wearing a hat and he's, if you know anything about what Spike Lee looks like, it's very exactly what you would think Spike Lee would be like. The sort of, I think it was a Knicks hat or an NBA hat, just kind of, hanging low. I have a picture. I'll probably tweet that out later and it'll show you what's on the hat because I can't remember it right now. And, so I said, hey, I don't know if I said Mr. Lee or Spike. I think I said Spike. And he kind of looks up, assuming it's somebody he doesn't know, of course. And he looks up and he kind of does a double take and he goes, hey, my man. And I was like, I have never felt better about myself in my life to that point where I got recognized by Spike Lee. And with nobody else in the elevator, we talked a little bit. I think he mentioned something about Melo and the Knicks. And my friend says, hey, can we get a quick selfie? And he goes, oh, yeah, real quick before these elevator doors open. And we got a selfie. And then the elevator doors opened like right after we snapped the picture. And then it was like he never knew me. He just put his head down and kept going.
Dude, this is tremendous. Spike Lee knows who you are.
Mm-hmm. Like that. Yeah. And like the next time I did a Knicks game, I think it was Knicks Spurs one time, and he was there, and I felt like a boss because I went to the sideline and I said hey to him, and he shook my hand and everything.
It's got to go to the next level now. Now, the next time you see him, you're working a game, you go, hey, can I get my number? Or get your number. Let's connect sometime.
No. Next level is I need a part in one of his movies.
That's what I'm saying, though. You get the number, and then you just coerce him and just.
You're my middleman there. You got to work that for me.
I mentioned the movies that I loved of Spike's that are late 80s, early 90s. A couple of tweets, people saying, what about some other movies? 25th Hour. I do love that great scene, of course, Edward Norton, which is an homage to the sequence in Do the Right Thing, where they're shouting all the insults towards the different races. There's that scene where Norton does it 25th Hour. Plus, I do like the ending. It's very atypical for Spike, and that's rather melancholy. And I love the late Philip Seymour Hoffman in 25th Hour. Somebody else also chimed in, what about Inside Man? Well, I said earlier, Black Klansman's his best film since Inside Man, which is atypical of Spike. It's a genre film. And as Billy said earlier, Billy, you said that you didn't even realize it's a Spike Lee movie. It does not feel like a Spike Lee joint. Not that's a good thing or bad thing, but it's an excellent film.
Yeah, I had no idea that it was Spike Lee, and nobody in this studio, aside from Roy, had seen it, so I was explaining to Chris how it worked, and I ruined the whole movie for him. But it's kind of cool that Spike's done stuff with Denzel, and now he's doing stuff with Denzel's son, right?
Excellent point, because somebody asked me, what'd you think of Denzel's kid? And I said, he's good. I mean, he's not the essence of the film. I think Driver's excellent, and I like the whole cast, but he's good. And you said, listen, the hook to somebody who comes in and just go, wait, that's Denzel Washington's kid? And I'm like, yeah, he's actually got some acting chops, and he was on Ballers, and he quits himself nicely. And I agree with you. The fact that Spike and Denzel were unbeatable back in the day, and now he's doing it with the son, is A, impressive that Denzel's kid can act, and B, I think more importantly, the tenure of Spike Lee's career. The fact that as a director, he's still able to get films made when so many people are going towards television or trying other projects. And he has done some of that, of course, in terms of television projects. And
how have I not been on Ballers?
Yeah,
isn't that a great opening, right? I mean, I was The Rock on Halloween on Around the Horn.
Yeah, so Le Batard's been on Ballers as we try to work out a way to get Izzy on Ballers. But this was, for those, I wasn't clear on this, that Dan has been on Ballers. It was the first episode, if I'm not mistaken. We have the audio here. Take a listen. This was Le Batard on Ballers.
How's life in the real world, Spence? You still dreaming about laying people out?
Let me tell you something, Dan. Right now, my dreams are all about deals and dollars.
What is the end game here, though, Spence? As an agent, broadcaster, coach?
I mean, hell, you're such a star. Why not own the damn team? Why yet?
So natural.
That is tremendous.
What is the end game, Spence?
That is phenomenal.
You know, Dan tells a story that he was supposed to have a larger role in either the second or third season, and that for whatever reason that got killed. And then Jay Glazer kind of took that role where like Dan was going to be hosting like a show, and The Rock was going to be in on the show, and there's going to be like plot lines around Dan on the show. But for whatever reason, that never ended up happening.
Yeah, that's nothing worse, right? When they go, hey, my best scenes are on the cutting room floor. I was promised more. That's why you got to just direct. That's
one day I hope to say that.
We got to get Izzy on Ballers. No question about it. Coming up next, LeBron knows the Lakers are Lonzo's team. Not my words, LeVar Ball's. Adnan Virk, Izzy Gutierrez, Le Batard Show.
Support for the Dan Le Batard Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Let's talk about buying a home for a minute. Because of rising interest rates, there's a lot of unpredictability when it comes to buying a home these days. It's causing a lot of anxiety and stress for a lot of people. Well, our friends at Quicken Loans are doing something about that. They're calling it the power buying process. Here's how it works. Quicken Loans will verify your income, your assets, and credit in less than 24 hours to give you a verified approval. That gives you the strength of a cash buyer. Then once you're verified, you qualify for their all-new exclusive Rate Shield approval. This is very cool here. First, they'll lock your rate up for 90 days while you shop. Now, here's the best part. If rates go up, your rates stay the same. But if rates go down, your rate also drops. Either way, you win. It's the kind of thinking you'd expect from America's largest mortgage lender. To get started, simple. Go to rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz. Rate Shield approval. Only valid on certain 30-year purchase transactions. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply based on Quicken Loans data in comparison to public data records. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Don Le Batard.
Up to 40% off best-selling bouquets and gifts perfect for Valentine's. I said Valentine's.
Stugotz.
Up to 40% off best-selling bouquets and gifts perfect for Valentine's. I said it again. I can't believe I did that. Well, I can. Am I kidding? Shocked that I went Valentine's. Bobby Valentine.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Adnan Virk and Israel Gutierrez today on the Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. Make sure you tweet us as well. Let us know what you think of the program thus far. I have been hogging the mic, and Roy and I are, in fact, having a fascinating conversation about Spike Lee's film. So we want to continue that conversation later about Crooklyn and Miracle at St. Anna. But honestly, I got to share the rock here with Izzy, who I know is fired up here to talk about this LeBron Instagram story. Izzy, the floor is yours.
Did you call me the Rock?
I said the rock is yours. But yeah, fine. We'll go back to the Ballers theme, the rock of this program.
Did you see LeBron's Instagram story last night? Have you checked it out?
I haven't. I'm looking at it right now, his Instagram. I don't see the stories. I don't see the pictures, but I will play along. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it was fantastic. First of all, he started, well, the one that I saw was him watching, yesterday was Miami Heat Day on NBA TV. Mm-hmm. And so there was a video of him watching the Heatles, and it was hashtag the Heatles on fire, and it was game 5 of the 2012 finals against the Thunder. So that, got people watching, especially people down here. And then a little later, he said, so far tonight, at my brother at Mav Carter, and it was SMH. I'm sorry, it's going away. Oh, sheesh is what he said with 4 fire emojis, and it's 3 bottles of wine. Now, ooh. I don't know that much about wine, but one of them is a 1990 wine, and there's no way that's cheap. Like, these have to be some pretty good bottles of wine right here. And then he just gets lit. Like, the next one is a 4th bottle that he posts. The next one is another bottle in hand as he goes over it, and then he starts dancing. I don't even have the music up on this. Oh, yeah. He starts rapping. I mean, he's like 4 bottles of wine in. And he's, no, I didn't press play. I didn't play for very long. And, he's just getting lit with his boys and Instagramming it. And it was fantastic. Like, I loved every second of it.
I love it because, he's so disciplined and he's so regimented during the season. Everyone knows that with regards to his diet and his fitness. So I'm like, I get terrified when guys like that never get loose. Then I just assume you're a cyborg. Like, you'll hear people say, well, after we win the championship, we have a day, like, Nick Saban, we have a day or two to, celebrate, and after that, it's back to work. I'm like, no, come on, dude. You have a little bit more time than that. So when I hear that and the fact that he's willing to share it, that's a good thing. That means, like, dude, enjoy the spoils of victory.
It's so classy, too. Like, if you're going to just party and hang out, like, just drink a bunch of expensive bottles of wine. Like, you could be like those other guys who go to the clubs and, James Harden reportedly throwing girls' women's cell phones across the bar during or the club during a little fight or what have you. You can do all that stuff. Or you can just get your business partners, a.k.a. your boys, and drink some expensive wine and post it for everybody to see because you're not getting in trouble. You're just getting lit.
How do you navigate the level of narcissism on social media? Meaning, if you, as Izzy Gutierrez, were a professional athlete, do you feel like you would be monitoring how much stuff you put out there? Or you're like, listen, I'm not even going to think about it. If
I'm
it's
glad
something
you asked.
fun, yeah, go.
I'm very glad you asked because I do think that even for somebody as D-list celebrity as myself, I'm going to put you at C+ there, Adnan. But even somebody as a D-list celebrity as myself, like, there are enough people out there that just kind of want to know you a little bit, right? And I think it was it Randy Scott yesterday who said he'd never literally spoken to me until we've been on the air, but he felt like he knew me from TV. And I think that's all people really want. And so when you have any sort of intrigue to you, or you can create it if you want by, a lot of these Instagram plans are just, hey, obviously highlight the best moments of your life and then, just post that as often as possible. It looks like you have an amazing life. That's like my Instagram account. It's not that great, but if you go by my Instagram, it seems like I'm having a great time all the time. I just think that people want to know a little bit more about you. And so it's not really narcissism. I don't think it's narcissism whatsoever. I mean, I think there's an element to acknowledging that you are a famous person that people want to get to know, but there's also a humility in it because it's just like, all right, people want to get to know me. Cool. I'll let them in. I'll let them in a little bit. That's what this whole social media thing is all about. And so I don't think that it's necessarily him showing off. I don't think any of that stuff, as much as Billy was showing off, with his engagement photos and the big ring he got his fiance.
Way to go, Billy!
Thank you.
We didn't talk about that on the national show, did we? Congrats,
No,
Billy.
thanks.
Billy got engaged over the weekend.
Oh, it's great news, Billy. Congrats, man.
Big life
Marlins
moment.
Park?
And there you go.
Oh, come on, Mikey.
It should have been Marlins Park, man.
And so basically, just like that, people want to know about, like Billy, you put that out there. You are not somebody who wants your life out there. You put that out there for the people who like you to say, hey, look, Billy got engaged.
It's not that I don't want my life out there. Like, I don't have a secret life, but like, it's weird because like in this industry, and the two of you can probably go along with this, like, I don't really like attention, but it's hard to tell people I don't like attention and I don't like people, talking about me or whatever, because that's basically what this industry is. But I feel like pressured. Like, I feel like I have to, my fiance's going to be mad if I don't have that out there. You know what I mean? So like, I don't need the attention or want the attention per se, but I don't want to get yelled at because then she's like, well, why don't you put out a picture of us getting engaged?
Do you at the very least feel somewhat satisfied that you let your, the fans of Guillermo in on a little segment of your life?
Oh, yeah.
They want to know, right?
It's been really flattering. Like, a lot of people have liked it and sent their well wishes, but
I mean, I do the same thing with my daughter. I mean, I'm doing that on Instagram now. I'm showing my life as a father on Instagram. And,
well, that's just pride. That's not narcissism. That's just you have a baby, you want to show her off. That's great. But
absolutely.
But Roy, you got some crazy attack, right? You showed a picture of your daughter and somebody went nuts on you, didn't they?
They used a racial slur against her.
Really? In an Instagram post. Well, those people need to expose themselves anyway, so everybody can figure out who they are. And the social media is doing a great job of that lately. Just saw
I got
another
a screen
video
cap of it. Yeah, I got a screen cap.
Yeah.
Now, my point is do you ever feel like, hey, I'm posting too much? Or do you feel like I should post more?
No, I actually feel like I don't post enough to be able to do, it's an effort. It's a job to maintain if you're going to gain anything from your Instagram whatsoever. It's a lot of work. Like, there are crazy things like engagement groups and stuff that you're like, oh, you like my stuff, I'll like yours. You comment on mine, I'll comment on yours, just because they're trying to, get the Instagram algorithm perfected and they want to be able to, get their things seen as often as possible. It's crazy how much effort you have to put into that stuff.
Well, and you don't want to miss too. Like, if you had a good post last time, you want to follow up with a better post.
Yeah. It's like me on Halloween. You got to keep raising the bar.
I just want to know if in this day may come sooner rather than later, when I become a fledgling ESPN personality, can I just rely on social media to lift me up, to get me a 5-year lucrative contract? Like, well, the guy's great on Instagram. He struggles on the air trying to make sentences.
It's possible, but
next,
I think
real
you're
star
asking
of the
too
industry.
much.
Ben Lyons, yeah.
Stugotz here for ZipRecruiter. Hiring used to be hard, multiple job sites, stacks of resumes, a confusing review process. But today, hiring can be easy, and you only have to go to one place to get it done, ZipRecruiter.com/Dan. ZipRecruiter sends your jobs to over 100 of the web's leading job boards, but they don't stop there. With their powerful matching technology, ZipRecruiter scans thousands of resumes to find people with the right experience and invite them to apply to your job. As applications come in, ZipRecruiter analyzes each one and spotlights the top candidates so you never miss a great match. ZipRecruiter is so effective that 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. With results like that, it's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the highest rated hiring site in America. And right now, my listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/Dan. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Dan. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Dan. DAN. They asked me to spell that. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
That is Gutierrez. I'm Adnan Virk, joining forces today. The Le Batard Show with Stugotz, minus Dan and Stu, but much of the shipping container here along with us. We'll get back to a story that I know Izzy want to dive into, but a Steelers fan infiltrating I was talking earlier about Black Klansmen, which the tagline for it is perfect. Infiltrate hate. This is all about infiltrating the black and gold. We'll do that in a second. But we were talking about social media and Instagramming and Facebook and how it's so prevalent. Nobody better to talk about the subject matter than the great Ben Lyons. You know and love him from ESPN LA 710. Of course, he is my brother in arms because of Oscars All Access, which we have done together. That's right. We've covered the Academy Awards twice. We won an Emmy last year, nominated again this year. Ben, first and foremost, thanks for being with us. And second question, which I've always wanted to say to you, please tell this national audience all about Fat Jewish and how that's so important in social media today.
Well, thank you for having me on the show, guys. I feel like I only know Izzy through social media and the radio. I haven't had the privilege of meeting him in real life. I just have a digital and media relationship with Izzy. But I grew up with the Fat Jew. He was at my wedding. He was my first friend that my wife met when she met me at the Cannes Film Festival. And he's a great follow on Instagram, and White Girl Rosé has been the drink of the summer in our household for many summers now. So that's my guy. He's a big diehard, long suffering Knicks fan as well, and has received some of those NBA warnings you get when you heckle too much, sitting in the Spike Lee seats. So he is a diehard Knicks fan and a dear friend of mine.
And you executive produced a documentary which was terrific. It played at Tribeca. I went and saw it, and it was excellent because it deals with social media and how it's so prevalent today and how people might think, oh, these people just get famous for being on social media, Brittany Furlan, others like that. But there's like a real art form to it, right, Ben?
Yeah, I had the privilege of producing this doc that you saw with the Fat Jew and Paris Hilton and DJ Khaled, and it was definitely a strange feeling taking my parents to the premiere of a movie I'd worked on, and it's a documentary about Paris Hilton, and I think they were proud of me. But the film came out great. It's called The American Meme, and it's I'm going to give you a real Hollywood answer. It's you'll be able to see it this fall, and I'll leave it at that. So yeah, we're excited about it.
Ben, the last time we talked, I think it was right before I went to Vegas for the first time. Do you remember that by chance?
Yeah, do you remember afterwards, though?
I do remember. And I remember you saying that we're going to have to talk off the air because you were a little concerned about my lifestyle. I think you were implying some things there.
Well, I had a window in my life where I went to Vegas every Saturday night for 2 years when I was a host on the E! Channel. So I was doing like 45 nights a year in Vegas, clearly before I was married, clearly before I had real life responsibilities. So I'm kind of Vegased out. Now my Vegas is just like driving to Summer League with Rosillo and should we stop in Baker and Barstow and hit the Mad Greek on the way there. That's how crazy it gets now. But yeah, I spent way too much Vegas time in my life, and it sounds like you might be heading back. This could be an annual Izzy in Vegas tour, coming to the desert soon.
I'm doing it differently this time. Like I way overdid it last time, way overdid it this time. It's a friend's birthday, not mine. And we're doing a house, right? Like a big house with a bunch of people. And there's like a lazy river around the pool in this house. It's going to be magical. We might not even leave the house.
No, that sounds like a disaster because you guys are going to be day drinking and hanging out in the pool. And then around 6, 7 o'clock when the sun goes down over the desert and you say, you know what, why don't we hit the strip and just play a few hands? And the next thing you know is he's, crying to Aoki with cake on his face up in some club. So, yeah, that could be careful, my friend.
You've seen me in Vegas before.
We're talking to Ben Lyons right now. I am Ben Lyons, by the way, is his Twitter handle, and you can always hear him on my podcast, Cinephile, with his segment, Lyons Den. Ben, I know you didn't get a chance to see Black Klansman, but you are as big a Spike Lee fan as anyone. Your dad, Jeffrey Lyons, for those who are unaware, is a famed film critic and a diehard Boston Red Sox fan. What's the connection with Spike and your dad? You guys go way back.
Yeah, I mean, I just have vivid memories of, like, going to Yankee Stadium or going to the Garden and seeing Spike, and this is in the 80s and 90s, and Spike saying to my dad, hey, take that Red Sox hat off. Boston sucks. Tell your father Boston sucks. There's a scene in Summer of Sam when a Red Sox fan gets beat up, and he would tell me, I was thinking of your father that day. So it's like a very strange feeling when your favorite filmmakers has a scene where essentially your father gets beat up. And then if you go back and look at the 25th Hour, Philip Seymour Hoffman's look, he's wearing a Yankees hat because it's a Spike movie, but the trench coat, the glasses, like he looks just like my dad in that movie. And now when I go to Knick games, my dad thinks we're going to see Spike at the game, even though I sit in the Spike Lee NYU seats. Like, I sit all the way up top. I never get great tickets to the Knick game because it's $1,200 to see them when they're 20 games under 500 in March. And my dad will somehow, he'll wear entire head-to-toe Red Sox gear, and will somehow make his way down to courtside, getting past the ushers at the Garden, who are some of the rudest and most intense and awful people on the planet. And he will somehow ingratiate himself and talk to Spike, and he'll yell at him for Spike wearing a Derek Jeter jersey when he threw out the first pitch at Fenway. So they have this, like, friendship, but it's definitely rooted in, like, hating the Red Sox and Yankees back and forth. So they've known each other for 25, 30 years, obviously.
Ben, you've mentioned being a long-suffering Knicks fan, which is ridiculously redundant. But I'm curious, as a Knicks fan, as you watch what's going on with Carmelo and Mike D'Antoni, like, it's got to be a comedy act like writing itself there, right?
I love that everybody is up in arms about the Houston Rockets adding one of the greatest scorers to ever play the game, a first ballot unanimous Hall of Famer. We sit here as NBA fans, and
now you say nice things about him. Now you say nice things about him.
We love. No, as Adnan will tell you, I am the biggest Carmelo fan, not named Lala, and Keon. So yes. I ride for Carmelo. You know, this is one of only 5 guys in NBA history to start his first 14 seasons with 20 points a game. 25-6 doesn't grow on trees. Okay, this guy's had a better career than Vince Carter, a better career than Tracy McGrady, and he's still playing. He's going to be playing in important playoff games this year. So I love the addition. I think him and Chris will be great. I think the D'Antoni of it all is poetic justice, and it continues the trend of ex-Knicks in the playoffs. Like, this is what we as Knicks fans have, considering they're the losingest team in the NBA since the year 2000. And getting it back to Spike Lee, if you look at some of those movies that Adnan was mentioning in the 90s, what was happening at the Garden? Knicks were at the center of the basketball universe. Then the 2000s happened, and then besides the documentaries, all the Spike Lee movies, Adnan, the Sweet Blood of Jesus, and some of the old boys, Chirac, Eddie Curry, Steph Marbury. It's all connected. So now with Kevin Knox and Mitchell Robinson on a sensible deal, you've got his most critically acclaimed film since Inside Man in 2006 when the Knicks were 5th in the Atlantic and won 32
You're
games.
excited about Kevin Knox, aren't you?
I mean, he just turned 19. He's already getting older. It's just like, we got to come on. What are we doing here? So, yes, of course I'm excited about Kevin Knox. I'm excited for Spike that he's back in the pop culture zeitgeist, well-deserved. And, this is a filmmaker who every time out will challenge audiences and will challenge the conversation of what's happening in pop culture and American culture. And he's been criticized often, and he's had some mistakes throughout his career. But like a fellow Knicks fan, Woody Allen puts out work consistently, like every single year. So I'm excited for BlacKkKlansman. I'm excited that Adnan loves it so much. He's very judicious with those maple leafs. These maple leafs aren't for everybody. So the fact he got 4 or 5 of them is pretty remarkable.
I only gave Miracle at St. Anna, I think, a maple leaf and a half. And Roy is with me on this, Ben. He just said to me, I'm not convinced there actually was a miracle at St. Anna.
The fact of the miracle is he got to make that movie with a cast of relatively unknowns at the time, making a story about the days in after World War II in Italy, like Omar Miller and Michael Eli. Like I actually really like that movie. I might be the only one, and maybe it's just my Spike fanboy hat on. But yeah, I think again it's like half an Italian, and his appreciation for Italian cinema going back to Scorsese. Like I don't know why people want to hate on Spike all the time. He's had to suffer enough nights at the Garden with Zach Randolph and Magic Lampi.
That is true. Roy, also a hockey guy like me. I don't know if Roy's seen Red Army, but it's a terrific documentary from Gabe Polsky, and it's about the Russian hockey teams, which are so dynamic. And Slava Fetisov, the great defenseman, is so funny and charismatic in the movie. I mention it because Gabe Polsky's next documentary is called In Search of Greatness, and it focuses on athletes who get to that higher level. The pride of Brantford, Ontario, the great Wayne Gretzky, and also Pele and Jerry Rice and others. Tell us about this documentary from Gabe called In Search of Greatness, which you're going to be involved with.
Yeah, it's incredible. My company, Art of Sport, is going to be releasing the film in select theaters in November, and it's a look at how creativity and artistic expression and thinking outside the box, how that can, when added with amazing talent, hard work, work ethic, can create true greatness. And looking at some of the greatest athletes of all time and how us as civilians can learn from them and take some of that free thinking. And Gabe is a really introspective and insightful filmmaker, and he's got a great relationship with Wayne and is able to tell stories from his childhood. And, Wayne Gretzky, Jerry Rice, Pele, not the biggest, not the strongest and the fastest, but there's something there. There's some creative connection, some interlocking tissue there that connects them that really inspires that truly iconic greatness that we all celebrate and revere. Now, taking it back to, so that movie's coming out, In Search of Greatness, in November. We're excited about it. But taking it back to Spike, my dad would do these top 10 shows on MSG, top 10 soccer movies, top 10 basketball movies. And it would be Chaz Palminteri, my dad, Spike, Ed Burns, these real New York film guys. And my dad doesn't know much about Slapshot and Mighty Ducks, and he's got to go back and Miracle and Goon and watch all these hockey movies. So he spends 2 days holed up in a hotel room doing hockey movies, watching the movies, taking notes, getting all this stuff prepared. They get on set, and they're about to do the hockey segment. Spike just goes, I don't care about hockey. I'm not doing this one. So that was how Spike prepared for the hockey talk on the show with my dad.
He's not down with that, but we're down with Spike. The great Ben Lyons, as always, you can follow him on Twitter. I am Ben Lyons. He's also terrific on Instagram. He just actually swam with some sea urchins. We'll get that in for Ron Miguel next time. But Ben,
I know. I need some Ron Miguel in my life. I had a sea urchin just embed itself in my foot in my last boogie board ride in Hawaii, doing my best Eddie Gutierrez, my shirt off in the ocean, feeling alive. And, the big island of Kona gave me a little gift for the ride home to L.A.
You're also going to get me a lucrative deal with Hulu or Amazon. I wrote a book, and Ben's going to adapt it into like a 10-part motion, who knows, a television series. Working title, The Second Baseman Was Not a Spy. Let's make it happen.
Is there a part for me?
Looking forward. Well, I already hear rumblings in Hollywood, Izzy, that you and Boban might be in John Wick 3 playing villains. Boban Marjanovic, the Serbian backup center for the Clippers,
I will take
signed on for the latest Keanu Reeves movie. I could see the two of you guys playing villains together.
Boban and I have chatted once. It did not go well.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, fellas. Porzingis forever. Peace.
More details on Izzy and Boban a little bit later on. But coming up next, though, speaking of infiltrate hate, this is about infiltrating love. A Steelers fan, all pads and jerseys. Plus, how is Chris Cody dealing with his growing fame? It's Adnan Virk and Izzy Gutierrez, Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
This is your bedroom. This is your bedroom with Blue Chew. Blue Chew uses the same active ingredients as in Viagra or Cialis, but now comes in chewable form. Chewable means better, cheaper, and works faster than pills. No in-person doctor visit, no waiting in line, no more awkwardness. 100% online at BlueChew.com, where your first order is free. Just pay $5 shipping. Use promo code DAN at BlueChew.com and restart the party.
Don Le Batard. There was a play at home plate, and this 10-year-old was rounding third and going home, and I got the ball right before she, okay?
Oh, no.
I threw the ball at her so hard.
From where?
But I got her out.
From where? Where were you throwing the ball from?
About 2 feet away. I take my kickball seriously, man.
Stugotz.
But it was just reactionary, Dan. I caught the ball. There was a play at the plate. I threw it at her.
Stugotz,
and you probably put up 2 fingers up.
Yeah, two down. We got two down.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Adnan Virk alongside Izzy Gutierrez. Le Batard Show with Stugotz, minus those two, but much of the shipping container. Bringing back a subject from earlier, Torontonians spend more time commuting on average than residents in every other major city, with the exception of Colombia's traffic-clogged capital of Bogota. June 21st, 2018, UK-based business product comparison service Expert Market ranked 74 cities with populations of more than 300,000. Toronto, the 6th worst overall in the world, and tied for the second longest average commute time of any city in the world, 96 minutes. Bogota, Colombia, number 1. So who did you have earlier? You had your guy there with a G. What was his name? Sean Watson with a G? Well, now I counter here, Izzy. Rio's 1, Bogota, Sao Paulo, Istanbul, Salvador, and then Toronto.
Listen, Shogun Watson was reading from a credible source. You, sir, are reading from The Onion.
Shogun Watson is my favorite name drop of the day. Izzy's fired up to talk about the Steelers fan. What do you got for me?
I don't know how fired up I am, but this guy was. So there's this video of a random fan. He's dressed in pads, like I don't know what level, what kind of pads. They look kind of small. Don't look like they're very safe. Don't look like they protect him much. But he's wearing a number 43, also a bad number if you're a DB. But he comes to practice and tries to D-up. He wants to defend Antonio Brown. He wants to sit across the line of scrimmage from him, call a play for Antonio Brown, see if he can stay with him. I don't know if you've ever seen Antonio Brown's sort of footwork, like when he practices and some of the stuff that he shows off. Mm-hmm. This man, and he's not just a Dancing with the Stars alum. This guy's got great feet, and I think it's hilarious that somebody wants to check the arguably best wide receiver in the game and showed up at practice in full pads. Like, I've been at football practices. I've been like playing games and, there's like little kids on the sideline. And just recently I remember one of them coming up and saying, yeah, I bet I could bomb all of y'all. And I'm just like, yeah, you probably can. I don't want to see it though. But to have the gall to go to a Pittsburgh Steelers, like, I actually want to see it. I would just take it as a free tryout, right? Like, just go ahead and try to check Antonio Brown. If you get a pick or if you cover him well, we might put you on the practice squad.
Yeah, I'm with you. There's no reason not to do it because the bar is set at abject humiliation and embarrassment. Everybody assumes you're going to be a laughingstock. So if you're even mildly credible, if you even hang with him for 5 yards, if you even agitate him slightly, they go, hey, you know what? This guy's got some potential. All right, you can hang.
It's like those, what were they? Like the camps, right? Where the kids will play with the NBA players and they get schooled or whatever. And it's all fun and games. Ha ha, you got schooled.
Let me make sure I have this story straight. This guy was trespassing, right? Like this guy snuck onto the field in full pads.
So it looks like it. And in the video that's posted, there's Antonio Brown actually responding saying, hey, he wants to check me, let him check me, as security people are figuring out how this padded player fan in black and yellow somehow got onto the practice.
This is not safe. We should not be encouraging this.
Chris Cote, if I gave you the opportunity to infiltrate any sports arena, any sports team, what would the venue and occasion be?
My flag football team. I've already asked him.
Yeah, that's up there. That's definitely up there. Top 5, I'd say. That's a good question. I would probably, off the top of my head, I'm thinking the Miami Heat in the Big 3 era. That would have been fun.
Anybody could have played point guard then, so you would have been in.
Run the point night. Yeah. Just let anyone play point guard every night.
But that's not believable. You would 100% stick out. Like, does it have to be believable where you can... Because this guy went all out.
Yeah.
Like, he has the helmet. He has towels that say NFL. Like, this guy spent some time and did some research figuring out how can I make this look passable. And it worked for a little bit, but he's got all the gear.
How can I break the law and trespass onto this
I think
field?
I think you can pass for a hockey guy.
That's a great call.
Yeah, good.
What?
Yeah, I mean, throw on all the gear that they wear, just throw on all that stuff, throw on the big sweater and the helmet, you're good. Can you skate?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. See?
For anybody who's skeptical, we went from Fat Chris to Fast Chris after the race. And if he has speed on skates like he does on feet, forget about it. I want to get Billy in the batter's box against Wei Yin Chen.
Oh, I mean, I guess Wei Yin Chen come on batting practice. Unless it's on the road. He seems to be good at home. No one cares about this, but he's good at home this year. But he's really bad on the road, which I don't understand. But again, no one cares about that.
Roy, with the Panthers, we'll go way back. It's you, it's Scott Mellenby, we'll get a few rats on the ice.
Oh, yeah, we're going to be killing rats together in the locker room.
John Van Beesbrook, Johan Garpenloff is there
John
with Roy.
Let's hold off on Beesbrook.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, JVP, we don't actually like him off the ice behavior. But you and Johan Garpenloff together, I think, would be a fun match.
Oh, yeah, and Bill Lindsay, too, yeah.
Oh, Bill Lindsay, great winger. What a good hockey name. Hockey face, too. Mikey C., what sports venue, occasion would you like to infiltrate?
I don't know. I think I could run into like a wrestling ring and be like one of those lucha libre guys.
Yeah, you could. I can see it.
I had a mask on,
Yeah, that's probably not going to go well.
A Nacho Libre guy is going to be Mikey C.
There you go.
You like Jack Black, just coming in the ring. Okay, then. Coming up next, how is Chris Cote dealing with his growing fame? We'll dive into that. Adnan Virk, Izzy Gutierrez, Le Batard Show, ESPN Radio.
Don Le Batard.
I have a friend. He was very early on. This is great. This is a great, awful story. It's early in the dating process. She has to go to the bathroom. Bathroom overflows with debris.
Ooh. Stugotz.
She's quietly trying to clean it up. He walks up the stairs and sees her on her hands and knees. They meet eyes, and she immediately begins sobbing. I mean, of course she's going to begin sobbing. Like, and I would have begun sobbing.
I would have looked up and been like, what? It happens.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Having a blast with Izzy Gutierrez, Adnan Virk. Shout out to Roy. Great Iggy Pop song, The Passenger. Oftentimes, I, of course, think of music with movies. The Weatherman is a fairly average Nicolas Cage movie, but they use this music in the trailer. I mean, a great trailer can sell anything. Great song, great trailer, great movie. Speaking of movies, we're going to have top 5 sports movies. Going to go around the horn here. It's going to be Izzy, it's going to be me, it's going to be Roy, it's going to be Chris, it's going to be Billy. All of us are going to give our options here because Mina Kimes is on Get Up. She's going to do her top 5 list tomorrow. I had the pleasure of sitting in on Get Up for 3 days with Greeny and Richard Jefferson.
Did you get a list? Did you do a list?
I did. I did a top 5 sports movies list.
Oh,
and Izzy, Greeny,
we already talked about that. It's
right. I know. I'm going to do it properly now, but Greeny hated it. I don't think Richard Jefferson knew a couple of them, so we're going to go around the horn on this. Before we do that, though, I want to ask Chris Cody how he's dealing with his growing fame, because we had a very provocative conversation here about social media and Izzy's general balance with it, my own rules with Twitter and such, Billy, what he's doing now that he's engaged. Chris, how are you dealing with your growing fame and balancing that social media?
Well, when you deal with all the fan love that an associate producer deals with on a middle-of-the-road radio show, it's tough to just keep track of everything. So what I do is I separate my social media. My Instagram is for the fans, so that's open to everybody. The Facebook is more private. So if I get a friend request from someone who I don't know on Facebook, not accepting you. Sorry.
Wow. It is funny. People do that with Facebook. They're very protective. I think it's because it's called friends, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
You don't just want to let anybody be a friend.
I kind of got my Twitter account is kind of infamous now at ESPN for some reason. And I kind of have 47,850 people following me.
Who's counting?
But who's counting?
Like, I looked it up and was like, wow, that's a very big number. Like, what's going on here? And anything can happen on my Twitter feed, and people have sent me plenty of hate tweets over the years, and I try to be as.
Where did this come from? I thought this was about my social media.
This was about Cody.
This was
Roy
tired of being silent, is what it is.
Yeah. Well, finally, I have the mic all to myself, so yeah, finally, I'm just throwing that out there. Thank you.
Got more followers than you, Chris Cody.
Roy will fire back. When the detractors come, there'll be a lot of yo mamas. There'll be a few, like, Roy, you will not often take the high road. You'll like to engage a little bit, which I recognize. Listen, Scott Van Pelt one time said to me, why should I have to turn the other cheek every time? Once in a while, why can't I fire back, too?
Yeah, that's right. That's my best Roy right there.
Yeah, I like to get down in the muck with everybody, so yeah, I like to fight back.
So Cody has a separation of church and state, so to speak, between Instagram and Facebook. That's how he's dealing with fame. We'll get to how others do it as well. But I do want to ask you this, too, Izzy, with regard to social media. How do you react when anybody comes at you? Do you block, ignore, engage? What's the best approach?
It's funny you should mention this. I was thinking about this, I think, earlier today. I have not engaged in any sort of Twitter back and forth in terms of like negativity, at least since like some point in 2017. It's been a long time, and I choose to ignore. Like, it's not even the whole, hey, this is just one person and it's nobody's, like, it's not a popular opinion or what have you. It's just because it doesn't make me feel good. Like, I'm not happy, like, getting all this negativity and like going with back and forth with people. It's like, I have conversations with people in person about that type of stuff. Don't really need to do it on Twitter.
Yeah, and I'll say this. We often focus on the negativity of Twitter, but I, as a Pollyanna, am buoyed by all the praise. Like, I don't, literally, right? Like, literally, if we're going to do the show together, we're going to go look at our Twitters, and maybe we looked at it so far, and for everyone that goes, hey, Izzy and Adnan are great, I'm like, all right. Like, that's exactly the pat on the back I need to carry me through the day.
I think what happens is, like, when people, or I guess, I don't know if people actually check your timeline or what have you, but I don't get a whole lot of that. Like, even when I say something controversial on television, and I get a couple people coming at me, I think they recognize that if other people are doing it and I'm not engaging, then they're not going to bother anyway.
Yeah, think about the people you love, entertainers, broadcasters, whomever. How often have you felt compelled to let them know that? Oftentimes your support is by supporting them, meaning I like John Oliver, so I watch John Oliver. I don't have to tweet him like, hey, man, I love your work. Mm-hmm. So I think there's so many out there that are just a silent majority who embrace you. And inevitably, the haters just get more vocal. That doesn't mean that they're more out there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're more empowered the more you engage with them.
So top 5 sports movies. We're all going to do them. Mikey C, we got a couple minutes here. I want your list first. Do you have your list ready? Top 5 sports movies of all time? Mikey C was about to do top 5 movies of all time, which would have been amazing. Why is The Godfather on the list of the top 5 sports movies? Only Mike could figure out how. But I think he's got you want 5-1, because I screwed it up earlier. Of course, you got to go 5-1. Mike, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, 5-1. Mikey C first, guys. Here we go.
Number 5, Rocky 2. Number 4, Wizard of Oz.
Jeez, what the hell is
What's the sport? Wait. What's the sport?
He's going to challenge the call.
What's the sport? Is it flying on flying monkeys? Is that a sport?
Sounds good. That'll be on the Ocho soon.
Okay.
And judging by that answer, it's a non-answer. Go ahead.
Answer. Number 3.
Number 3, the aforementioned Godfather.
What? How? They're playing bocce in the garden? What's number 2?
Top Gun.
No! What the hell?
That's a volleyball movie.
Ace, you can ride my tail anytime. Number 1.
Speaking of volleyball, actually, no, that was...
Castaway.
Nope, Grease.
There was a lot of sports there. I think he's best at track, right? Track was his best.
Smoking a cigarette at the track. You remember that was...
That's the single worst sports movie list of all time. We're going to clean it up and have some actual sports movies. Adnan Virk, Izzy Gutierrez. We're going to hear what Billy has to say, Chris and Roy as well. Top 5 sports movies. And tweet us as well. Engage us on social media. Let us know. It's a Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Support for the Dan Le Batard Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Let's talk about buying a home for a minute. Because of rising interest rates, there's a lot of unpredictability when it comes to buying a home these days. It's causing a lot of anxiety and stress for a lot of people. Well, our friends at Quicken Loans are doing something about that. They're calling it the power buying process. Here's how it works. Quicken Loans will verify your income, your assets, and credit in less than 24 hours to give you a verified approval. That gives you the strength of a cash buyer. Then once you're verified, you qualify for their all-new exclusive Rate Shield approval. This is very cool here. First, they'll lock your rate up for 90 days while you shop. Now, here's the best part. If rates go up, your rates stay the same. But if rates go down, your rate also drops. Either way, you win. It's the kind of thinking you'd expect from America's largest mortgage lender. To get started, simple. Go to rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz. Rate Shield approval, only valid on certain 30-year purchase transactions. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply based on Quicken Loans data in comparison to public data records. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Dan Le Batard.
Good work today. That was a fun show.
Stugotz.
It was also intergalactically stupid.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
If only. Wizard of Oz, one of Mikey C's top 5 favorite sports movies of all time. The rest of the crew momentarily. It's Adnan Virk alongside Izzy Gutierrez here in for Dan and Stu on the Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Thanks so much for engaging us. Get in touch with us, 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed. Let us know what you think of the show as we're about to wrap it up. My top 5 sports movies I gave on Get Up last month. I'll give those momentarily. But, Izzy, the floor is yours. Your top 5 favorite sports movies. Give it to us.
There's a tie at number 5.
That's
which
fine.
is the only place it's legal, so you can shove in a 6th film. And the tie at number 5 is between Bring It On
cheerleading movies
and A Karate Kid.
So the next one will be number 3, right?
No. The next one, if you were going down, would have been number 7.
Yeah.
But going up, you can still do 4, 3, 2, 1 here.
That's unbelievable.
Boom.
Interesting.
So
it's an interesting
life hack.
nuance. Yeah.
It is a life hack. Number 4, Creed. Number 3, Dodgeball. Number 2 is a documentary, so it's still fair. The United States of Football. And number 1, Talladega Nights.
Good list. I like it.
You.
Good list.
Thank you.
Heavy on the comedies, very entertaining list. Karate Kid, Wax On, Wax Off. Bit of a cheat with 2 tied at 5, but I'm all for.
I can tell that Adnan hates your list. I can just tell by his tones.
No, it's just markedly different than mine. Yours is all about fun and levity and rewatchability, and mine's is about sadness and despair.
Don't hate on Gabby Union and Bring It On, baby.
Listen, I love Creed. I'll give you Creed. Creed's terrific. Billy, go ahead. Your top 5 sports movies.
All right, so I had to make some alterations because I talked to people in this room, and I didn't want to repeat movies, but just know I had 7 on my top 5, but then I brought it down to 5.
3 tied at number 5. It's perfectly legal.
Give us the honorable mentions. You can do that if you want.
All right, honorable mentions, Cool Runnings.
John Candy, terrific.
And Fever Pitch. Those are my honorable mentions.
Sneaky good one.
Those are my honorable mentions. So then we'll start.
It didn't make the cut. Go ahead.
Number 5, Little Giants. Number 4, Major League 2.
Yeah, oh my God.
Part 2, eh?
Yeah, part 2. I thought part 2
that's a good change up.
Major League's going to be 1 now, but go ahead.
Adnan doesn't like this list, and I'll tell you why. Adnan, this is the thing. So, Miracle, I liked Miracle, but I'm not going to sit down and I'm not going to watch Miracle a bunch of times. So, Miracle did not make my list, which I don't think you're going to agree with my list on. So, anyways,
I wouldn't have Miracle in anyways because I'm Canadian, but go ahead.
Number 3, Bring It On.
Yeah! That's unbelievable. We have 2 votes for Bring It On.
Number 2.
Have you seen it?
No, I have not seen Bring
You
It On.
haven't seen it? What?
Bring It On?
What do you mean you haven't seen Bring It On?
I got the
I feel
door
like-
to
I thought you were a movie expert.
Seriously.
I'm good movies. I don't watch every movie. Let's be fair here. We don't have time in the day to watch everything.
Rot.
Number 2, Happy Gilmore. And number 1, The Replacements.
Adnan hates
No Major League 1?
That's shocking that Major League did not make the list. Major League 2 did.
Major League 2 was terrible, man.
That's absurd.
Awful.
Billy, I'm all for the fun movies, but that's how on earth are you putting Major League 2 ahead of Major League?
Oh, Major League 2 was a classic.
No.
Lost your mind.
No, it was
You've
great.
lost your mind.
Wild
I'm with
Thing
Roy
came
on
back. He was all business.
This is all how.
It's not like I put Major League back to the minors on my list.
Yeah,
It's
the
not
third
that
one I was going to
crazy.
say. That's
Just
horrific.
got Backler, man.
Roy, pick us up. Give us your top 5 sports movies, please.
All right, number 5, 42. Here we go.
Normally your list
Get a little more serious in here.
No. Number 4 is Goon.
Yes. Again, hockey guy. Roy, I love it. Jay Baruchel, terrific.
Number 3, Ken Burns Baseball.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I love that.
That does count. It's a documentary. That does count. That does
This is
count.
the
You didn't
best
say
list so
theatrical.
far.
You didn't say theatrical.
This is easily the best list so far.
No way.
All right, there's a tie for number 2.
Bring It On?
No. Creed.
So there's no.
You messed this up. You messed this up.
This is my list.
It can't be a tie. Then there's no 3.
No, you can cheat if you want. It's okay. Go ahead. Do the tie.
Whatever you say. All right. Creed and Slapshot.
2 hockey movies. I love this.
And number 1 is Ali.
Mighty Ducks?
No, not the Mighty Ducks. Get out of here.
That's a movie I have never seen. The Mighty Ducks.
What?
None of them.
I like the one where they were in college.
Shout out to Goldberg.
Yeah, there should be no one aghast that Izzy hasn't seen any Mighty Ducks movies. That is perfectly acceptable and totally fine. Love the fact Roy had 2 hockey movies in there. Check out Goon, Liev Schreiber and Jay Baruchel. If you love hockey, Slapshot, of course, is iconic. You got to foil it up with the Hanson brothers. Ken Burns' baseball, amazing, even if you include the 10 innings. I love it. Roy's list is outstanding. No, that's the best list so far. No one's going to top Roy's list.
What are you talking about?
What are you
talking about? That was the worst. Get out of here. What is your list, Chris?
Two hockey movies and Ken Burns' baseball makes that the best list so far. Chris, what do you got?
Well, Billy kind of stole my thunder here with his honorable mentions, but all right, here we go. Number 5, A League of Their Own. Number 4, Cool Running.
Yes, great. John Candy.
Still haven't seen it.
No, John, come on.
You haven't seen that?
Not Cool Runnings, no.
Again, I think it's okay. He doesn't have to go back and see Cool Runnings. It's not that.
You've never seen it? Wow. Number 3, best rom-com ever, Fever Pitch.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Number 2, Tin Cup.
No, this list is bad.
Summer Catch was better than Fever Pitch.
Number 1, Space Jam.
Hey.
Roy.
Everybody knows Space Jam 2 is going to be better.
Listen, Adnan, I can see your judgment through the states that we're not even near you right now. I can see you judging us. Listen, there's no facts with movies. These are opinions. I'm right. Tin Cup's great.
Whatever you say.
Film is all subjective, and I give you that. But I just find it interesting with all the fun movies you guys went with. And I'll give you my list now. What the hell? Nobody wants my list, but I'll do it anyways. Number 5, The Wrestler. Number 4. I'm like, I'm not even going to get the horn. Like, just do your list, kid. Get out of here. Number 4, speaking of documentaries, Hoop Dreams. Number 3, baseball movie, 8 Men Out. I love it. Criminally underrated.
Great movie. I love it.
Number 2 is $1 Million Baby. And number 1 is the greatest of all films, Raging Bull.
Bang the Drum Slowly? No.
Bang the Drum Slowly, great, by the way. I love De Niro, Michael Moriarty.
So I should go back and watch Raging Bull, is what you're saying?
Izzy, that's when you do have to see. That's your homework for tonight. I'll watch whatever you want to. You know what? How about we do this? How about we do this? I have to watch Bring It On. Izzy has to watch Raging Bull tonight.
How long is Raging Bull?
2 hours. 2:05.
You might get to watch 2 Bring It Ons in that time.
Listen, Adnan, Bull Durham was better than 8 Men Out.
No. See, Chris.
There, I said it.
No, there's no way.
I am shocked at this situation.
Somebody backed me up on 8 Men Out. Roy, was it you? Somebody liked it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was me. I loved 8 Men Out. It's a great movie. Solid number 7 on my list. Solid
there you go.
Number 7.
Morality play, wonderful cast. David Strathairn, Charlie Sheen, John Mahoney, John Cusack, terrific as Buck Weaver.
the biography of Shoeless Joe is one of my favorite books ever.
Dude, that's awesome.
Adnan, what about Bleacher Bums?
Well, here's going to say, Chris, what I'm surprised by is this. Obviously, my list is, very highfalutin and serious, and Roy's went a little bit in that direction. But you guys went all comedies and fun ones, and yet you did not include two of them that I would have included if I went with a fun sports movie list. Major League, absolutely, which we've discussed that Billy went with Major League.
We got two on there, yeah.
But this is the one that I'm shocked none of you guys said. To me, this is a great sports movie comedy. If you go in this direction, to me, this is an absolute no-doubter. And it's a Farrelly Brothers movie. Kingpin.
Basketball.
Kingpin's pretty good.
Kingpin's a great one, is he? That's so funny. Bill Murray's amazing. Woody Harrelson's got a prosthetic, Randy Quaid, the prosthetic hand. He's Amish.
That's highfalutin funny, though.
Yeah. No, come on. There's fart jokes in Kingpin. It's not like that high level.
I don't know. I think it's a little highfalutin. I think it's like highbrow comedy. Highbrow, lowbrow.
It's not like Royal Tenenbaums or something.
Watch Bring It On tonight.
How about Mikey C's list? He had The Godfather as one of the greatest sports movies of all time.
I mean, Mikey C, Jesus. I have no idea.